Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Yeah, we got the full Monty for you. Damn good show planned for you as well. We'll talk about the NBA Finals. They are upon us. We got a lot to get into. We'll have a discussion, a big man discussion on the show about Nikola Jokic and where he stands all time. We'll also get into some NFL news notes and nuggets. We'll talk about the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy's comments about DeAndre Hopkins, and we'll also get into Aaron Rodgers reportedly had a coup of sorts planned with the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about that. The Brady conspiracy theory grows stronger. Also, we'll get into Texas basketball. Great news for Texas basketball. Dillon Mitchell returning to the 40 acres. CDC was on with Paul Feinbaum. We got some audio from that. We'll play a little bit later on in the 4 o'clock. And Texas baseball tomorrow with a big matchup versus the Ragin' Cajuns. And we'll break it down with my man Hardball Hards right here on Ball Don't Lie. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Hards. What's going on, brother?
What it do, what it do. We are closer to the weekend. We are closer to the University of Texas baseball team getting back into action and trying to wipe that nasty taste out their mouth. I don't even know how you wipe it out, but I know you want to get it out.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't wait for that to happen tomorrow. But we're going to talk so much about this basketball. We're going to talk about University of Texas getting a player back
right.
and all them haters that were after Rodney. How you like me now? That's what Rodney's saying to you. But he's keeping it on the low. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty sure that he's underpaid. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick?
Oh, man, good news on Texas basketball, and I got finals action tonight. I'm feeling good.
Feeling good. Yeah, we'll break down this finals, of course. And, yes, we will talk about Dillon Mitchell returning to the 40 acres. We'll get into that at the top of the 4 o'clock. We'll basically go behind the burnt orange curtain, talk some Texas basketball with that Dillon Mitchell story. Also hear from CDC. He was on with Paul Feinbaum because he's attending the spring meetings for the SEC as they will be Texas will be a future member of the SEC. So we'll hear some of that audio as well. And we'll hear from my man Hardball Harge and talk some Texas baseball because they got a huge matchup. You could just say the biggest game of the season. From this point on, every game is the biggest game of the season for Texas baseball facing Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns. So we'll get into all of that, top of the 4 and top of the 6 o'clock. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain, but we'll start off talking NBA. Lots of NBA stories, as a matter of fact. Monty Williams has a new head coaching gig. We'll get into that, yes. And Joe Mazzulla, safe. He is safe. Reportedly, it has already been stated that Brad Stevens says that it's all good. That Joe Mazzulla will be retained as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. So we'll talk about
That's because Brad Stevens almost got fired his doggone self, so he understands what it's about.
Everybody's safe here, guys. No
Exactly.
fired. Whoa. Nobody's getting fired around here.
We're good, buddy.
Don't use that F word. Use the other F word, but not that one. Yeah, no, we're good. I agree with you on that. He doesn't want to start yet because the head coach get fired. The next person after that is his boss, and of course, that will be Brad Stevens. All right, you can be a part of these show. You're the most important part of it. You're the heartbeat of it, the pulse of it. Specs text line 512-337-3776. You can also hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. My man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, before we get into this NBA matchup, Harge, do you want to air your grievance about whoever has put the televisions on was it on Nickelodeon?
It was on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And BBC.
Okay. Now,
I understand.
Bucky is probably the most likely culprit here.
This angle right here tells me everything because there's only a few people that sit in this spot.
You guys were not here earlier and know who the special guest in studio was for Light the Tower.
Oh, Jeff had his daughter in. That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Then that brought it all back.
That's what it
Now
was.
this
So,
TV.
look, I'd love to blame Bucky for
Yes.
things, but
This-
I
this-
believe that there was now maybe Bucky had it on and she just came in and was like, well, I fit in perfectly here.
That is a
Bucky.
great point.
No, but Bucky usually is women's entertainment or
And this was
Hallmark,
Star-
Lifetime.
And this
Hallmark,
one
yeah.
was
Hallmark,
This
yes.
one was Star Trek, so
That
I
could
could
have
say
been-
that is definitely a Bucky channel. I would
Yeah.
definitely go there. This one,
Very Buck-like.
now I understand, so I won't have to throw anybody under the bus because we already went through the list. You just brought two of them. We had two of them in the conversation. The third one that sits in his chair is our man Chad Hastings.
Yep.
And Chad gave us the answer that we all thought it would be. I did not touch the TVs.
I don't touch TVs.
You don't come in
I'm
and
not
touch
a
the
T.
TVs.
I don't touch the TVs when I come in here.
I touch
all.
the TVs.
Yeah, you-
because I
yeah.
want to make sure
Yeah.
as we're talking about stuff and something pops up,
Breaking news.
I'm like, hey, there's something that's going on what we're talking about in this topic. So today we come in and I'm like, we on Nickelodeon. And I got kids. I understand it. Every time I walk in the house, my daughter's looking at me like, Dad, go watch TV over there because I'm already watching this. And I'm like,
Kids are stubborn about their viewing
because they're
habits.
already in, and
Yeah, they're like,
Dad's just now getting home, and they've been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. But now when I walked in here today, threw me completely off. So I'm glad that you pointed that out to me because I was about to go in on Buck.
No, I don't think Nickelodeon was Bucky.
Okay.
No, Bucky is the guy that leaves it on. Like I say either Lifetime, Hallmark,
Yeah,
or
especially around Christmas season.
women's
Yes,
entertainment.
especially
Christmas
Especially
season,
around
it's always on like Hallmark or Lifetime or one of those channels showing like cheesy Christmas
Yeah,
movies.
it'll be something eclectic. It won't be sports related. Bucky's
will
gonna have it
not.
on something that's not sports related. So I can
Yeah.
easily see him as the BBC guy. But
Yeah.
here's my I don't touch the TVs, but here's my belief on studio TVs. And I've been doing this a long time now. Because I've never touched the TVs and never been TVs in every studio I've worked in. But it's always everybody wants to change TVs, put them on. Some people like non-sports related stuff. Some people like only sports related stuff, and that's harsh. I think it should be like it's a toilet seat rule in your house. I think once you leave, you should put the TVs back on whatever, like sports related topics. Because it's a sports.
This is a sports
place.
show.
So you should just put it back on. That's kind of the default.
Automatically.
Like the toilet seat being down.
Yep.
Is the default in the house when you share the house with the one like, no, put the toilet seat back down.
But the reason why the toilet seat wouldn't be put back down is because it's all men in here.
No, but it's not that. It's a toilet seat rule. Every man who's lived with a woman knows the toilet seat rule.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, you know it. It's a toilet seat rule. Basically, it's toilet seat down. It's on sports. You want to change it back to sports when
Before
you
you
leave.
leave. That's right.
That's what you should do.
I'm down with that.
That should be the rule.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
do
is
know.
a sports show.
I do know it will throw me off sometimes because there will be a game on like ABC. And so you put it on ABC or a game on NBC or whatever. You put it on there at night. And then in the morning when people come in, they're like, why is it showing The View? And you're like, I don't know. There was a game. It was a game
There was
last
a
night.
game on, yeah,
but it
that's
just was,
true.
we left because the game was still
That's
on.
a good point. Now
Like
that's a
tonight would be it.
special exceptions. That's a good point. That's a
Tonight
special
would be
exception.
the night because the
special
game
exception.
is on ABC.
Yeah.
Therefore, you might come in here and find out
Some
that
morning
it's
shows on.
Exactly.
Which is fine.
You might
know,
see the view.
That's better than when we come in here and, like I said, it's on a Hallmark movie, or you say it's Star Trek on.
Yes,
and
I
I'm
saw
like,
Star
all
Trek
right,
today. I'm like,
Law
what is
and Order's
really going
I'm
on?
like, all right,
You know, all you have to do is just turn them off, and then they'll be off for like a week until someone goes, I don't know how to turn these back on. I don't.
And I've done that
either.
before, too.
I don't. That's what I say, I don't touch them because I don't ever want people to. Because people always complain about them. What's wrong with the TV? Who lost the remote? What's it? And I always say I never touch the TVs. Don't even talk to me about it. Don't bring it here. I don't touch the TVs. I never have. Never
Yep.
touched them. All right, let's get to the NBA Finals, gentlemen. Let's break this down. We got a lot of different angles that we could come at, but there's no question that the Miami Heat are trying to pull off one of the greatest upsets in NBA history. There's no now they are an 8 seed, the first 8 seed to reach the NBA Finals since the Knicks did it. What, in 1999, the strike shortened season. Shout out to the Spurs. All right.
Winner.
But how about this little stat for you? So the Heat, last time I looked, but this could be different. This was at DraftKings. They were plus 320 to win the finals. That would be the second. That would be the second biggest NBA Finals upset since 1969. If they can pull it off, based on those odds. The biggest long shot to actually ever win I think we all remember this one. Them damn Detroit Pistons.
Yup.
2004.
Was that Chauncey Billups?
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
The Lakers in that series, 2004, they were minus 700.
Ooh, that's some big dollars right there.
No, sorry, yeah, minus 700. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
big money right there.
And then they basically had the Pistons. I believe that's where it started. And the teams basically, they said it ended up at plus 500. That's what the Pistons were on the other end of it. So, yeah. Either way, that's this would be just to give you a little perspective. This would be a huge upset if it ends up happening. And the second biggest since that 2004 Detroit team beat the Lakers. All right, now. The thing, because I've heard a lot of different comparisons about this David and Goliath matchup here, because I've heard a lot of sweeps. Hell, I think you were leaning sweep, Harge.
I'm leaning gentleman
sweep.
Gentleman sweep.
Patrick's leaning sweep.
I'm saying sweep if Jimmy Butler doesn't get mad.
Okay.
I don't like this Jimmy right now. This Jimmy right now is like
the nice Jimmy.
Nice Jimmy's like 22, 7, and 8 is his line. I need Mad Jimmy that's like 45, 15, and 20. That's the Jimmy I need.
Now, you remember a couple of years ago, Jimmy and the Heat did get into it with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, it was there's actually video of this too. Jimmy saying this on the floor, but there was an altercation November 8, 2021 that results in a suspension of Jokic and a fine for Butler. Jokic shoved Markieff Morris, who is obviously long gone now, from behind, and that was actually after a hard foul, so they were just getting into it. And then the Heat players got so upset that a lot of those guys came on the floor because they thought it was kind of a cheap shot. And then Jimmy Butler can be seen saying, bring your blank to the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then there was actually, we don't know, the photo since has been, I don't know, people speculate that it's not real or whatever, but at one point there was seen a photo of the Miami Heat waiting in the back basically for the Denver Nuggets. But Jokic was ejected from the game as a result, and then received a 1-game suspension. Morris received a flagrant foul for it and a $50,000 fine, and Butler received a technical foul and a $30,000 fine for attempting to escalate the altercation and failing to comply with the NBA's security interview as part of the review process.
And that's when we learned about Jokic's brothers.
Oh, that's right.
That
Good
is
point.
when we found out who they were leading up to this situation.
So hopefully the brothers are there.
No, they've
been there.
They've been there.
They don't ever leave him alone.
So Patrick, hopefully that's what you get. Hopefully
you
Jimmy
want that
comes in there.
because if he don't show up, Miami don't stand a chance.
Right.
I think I agree with that.
If you're relying on hot heat check Caleb Martin for this series to be a series, that may not work.
And have we got news on Tyler Hero
He's
yet?
not playing game 1.
I think it's still game 3 is the projection.
Okay.
So in Miami would be the projection.
But to that point though, the only hope for the Heat, they got a lot of things got to go their way. Can't just be one factor go their way. Jimmy's got to be on, but also their 3-point shooting's got to stay on.
Yep.
And it cooled off a little bit at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's a little worrisome. But you're talking about a team, guys, that in these playoffs, they shot 39% from 3-point range overall in the postseason, over 43% from 3-point range versus Boston, 45% from 3-point range versus the Bucks. That is unbelievable.
As you said, that is that situation where you're looking at it and saying, how hot can we stay? And what kind of pressure can we get put on the other team? Because we know what Denver's going to be.
Yeah, Denver's the best offense in the NBA. I mean, but the thing that's staggering about the Miami Heat is this is not the team that they were in the regular season. I mean, they were 34% 3-point shooting team in the regular season. That was 27th best in the NBA. And they've had now the biggest jump in 3-point percentage for a team in NBA history from the regular season to the postseason.
Yeah.
They hit 58% of their wide open 3-pointers in the Eastern Conference Finals. That if they are not hot from 3-point range, it don't matter if they got Jimmy, playoff Hemi. It don't matter. They got to be hot from 3-point range in addition to having playoff Hemi. And they got to have them both.
And then you also got to look at the fact, too, when you look at this Miami Heat team, look at who they've defeated on this process. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the New York Knicks in 6 games. And then they beat the Boston Celtics in 7 games. So they've gone step by step, to your point about the shooting percentage. But the other percentage is, look at the way that the teams that they beat. These were the number 1, 2, 3 ranked teams in the division, and they're the 8th seed. And they were able to pull this off and go after and change careers possibly, except for the fact that Mazzulla's going to keep his job. All these other coaches, they might have been fired. I know they're trying to get rid of Tibbs up there in New York. So you look at this team and you're like, man, they are resilient. They are here for the fight. But I'm with you. I don't think that they can make that work that much. If they're not hitting threes, and we'll get a good look at it early, if they're not hitting threes and that air in Colorado starts setting on their chest, that's going to be a problem.
Yes, I think so. The rust versus the rest factor, we know that Denver is, they are way more rested than Miami. And they're acclimated. That's their home court advantage. Yep. They haven't lost at home in the playoffs.
And they've been home for a long time.
We do know that Miami they flew to Denver that night to try and start getting acclimated after beating Boston. Yeah. They flew straight to Denver because they knew, hey, man, we got to try and get acclimated to the elevation as quickly as possible.
Still going to take them.
It still takes a minute, but
take them about a week or so.
It's a better shot than one day there.
No, I totally agree. This is actually, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, I think this is actually Miami Heat's one of their best chances, if not their best chance to steal one, is game 1.
Yeah.
It honestly, and if it goes gentleman's sweep, I think it'll go gentleman's sweep like 76ers, Allen Iverson versus the Lakers.
They had that one game.
You
got your one.
That's they won.
Yeah, you
when
got
Jimmy
your one.
goes off and they kind of catch the Denver Nuggets a little sleepy because they are a little rusty. They haven't played basketball in a while, and they do have that first half where they're just trying to find their groove a little bit, and the Miami Heat just come out gangbusters. I could see that happening, but like I said, that rust factor only lasts a half of basketball. That's as long as you get with a team that is as elite as Denver is in so many ways offensively.
Well, the other part, too, for me, is the coaching matchup. We've been giving Spo his love, rightfully so.
Spo's been balling,
but we got to give Malone his love, too. This is a tough coach. And he puts up with no nonsense. And, Patrick, you brought this up the other day. He thinks they're the underdog. He keeps talking like they're the underdog.
He doesn't think that. He knows how to portray it to his team and portray that, hey, man, look at them saying that Jimmy Butler could be the best player in this series. Look at them saying that Miami's on a hot streak and everybody loves them. They don't even like you guys. You need to go out there. He knows ways to spin it. Mm-hmm. The Patriots were masters of this during their run as a dynasty, that they would come out and everybody goes, Tom Brady is the greatest player of all time, and the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, may win every game this season. They come out and go, no one believes in us. You go, wait a minute. We just said you were the best. No one likes us. And so that's what Denver's going in with. Now, again, it's hard when you have to keep everyone away from social media and keep everyone away from trying to keep everybody away from getting in their own head for as long as a break they had. Because that means more time sitting at your house with your friends on the phone and with your phone in your hand, where you can kind of look up and get in your own head about, they think that, like for Jamal Murray, like for him to not get too cocky and go, oh no, I need to take more heat check shots. I need to do more of that. That's where a game tonight you could get a little bit out of your own element, just trying to, reliving the glory days, reliving those last matchups. And trying to just be dominant like that without playing fundamental basketball. But I think that these two coaches are going to get both their guys up and ready for it. And, I'll tell you tonight, I think a big one, if you're going to try and do it, is Miami's had those really big quarters, especially in some early upsets. Mm-hmm. I think that third quarter is going to be huge for Miami coming out of the locker room. If they're able to step up out of the locker room and just kind of punch Denver in the mouth and stun them, that's how I think they can get a win in game 1.
Yeah, Denver is basically the best first quarter team in the playoffs, and Miami's been the best fourth quarter team in the playoffs. Miami's beat their best fourth quarter team in the playoffs. They've outscored their opponents by 16.3 points per 100 possessions in the fourth quarter. So that I agree with you. Third quarter might be a huge factor in the game, just coming out with those halftime adjustments. Getting to kind of another little nugget about this matchup. if you're adding up the seeds, you brought up the seed charge.
Yeah.
Denver's opponents, their seeds add up to 27 combined. The seeds they've beaten, 2 8. Well, now the Miami Heat say another 8 seed, but it'll be the second 8 seed they face. And then the Suns were a 4 seed, Lakers were a 7 seed. That would be the highest total for an NBA champion. The Spurs actually be the next highest in 1999
Wow.
if they end up winning the title, but of course they are considered to be the favorite right now.
Patrick over there smiling.
No,
Because he keeps going to the Spurs. He's like, man, that's amazing how my Spurs
Right,
always
guys,
sitting up in these
in these
conversations for
conversations.
championships.
Hey, do you see how Jokic said that he wanted to be like Tim Duncan? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, no, he's been extremely complimentary to Tim Duncan the last few weeks.
Oh, can we play this Robert Horry sound? A Big Shot
Yeah.
Bob?
Big shot Bob.
Big Shot Bob. He was on.
What has he done? Big shot Bob.
What is he doing? Okay, so obviously Robert Horry has played with the Rockets, played with the Spurs, played with the Lakers. Big Shot Bob has gotten around, and he was on a Showtime basketball podcast, and he was talking about the big men he's played with, and he made a statement that's considered rather controversial in NBA circles right now. Here is Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob.
All the other teams I played for, the one common denominator was great big men. You know, think about Shaq, Tim Duncan. And if you said right now, name the top 5 big men, I played with 3 of them.
Yeah. Who's who? You play with 3 of them.
Well, Dream's
Talk
number
your
1
shit.
by
Yeah,
far.
okay.
We don't like to talk. Nobody wants to talk about. I think you have these guys who are quiet. Think about it. Dream, you know, he's a really quiet guy. You can't get him to do much, to say much. So we kind of veer away from him. We don't talk about him. But to me, if you look at what he put together, you know, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in one season, all-time leading shot blocker, you know, those things that you look at his history and what he's done for the game and how he started the game. You know, this dude didn't play basketball growing up. Went to U of H
Imagine
where
that, yeah.
they went. You think about, we all went to college where they're going to teach you. U of H, they just rolled the ball out there and he went to work. And so I think what his body of work was just incredible, and he's just a good dude too, man. That's what you have to think about, a good dude.
And people don't understand. You played with all of them, so your opinion is valid. You've been on the court with
And
all
won
of them.
with 'em.
Yeah, one with all of
Won
them.
with
So
them,
yeah,
too.
you gotta
Yeah.
respect that.
All right, I'm not bringing that up to throw that in Patrick's face about the Tim Duncan thing. We can discuss that, but I really want to have the conversation about where Jokic now stands among all those great big men. It's weird that people don't bring him up already, and they probably should. He's already a 2-time MVP after or if they win the title. I think we'll assume that they will. They got to start mentioning Jokic in those conversations. No question, right?
That's so funny that you brought this up, because I was having this discussion just the other night about where do you put him in the big man discussion now?
Right.
Is it do we need to see him win the championship for him to be considered one of the best? Because of the fact, yes, we already know he's got the MVPs. I get that. But has he won the championship? So if he wins this championship coming up, and he does it in convincing fashion, he becomes the MVP, he does all of that, do you have to start now checking on where you're going to rank these people because of that? Because what we've seen has been dynamic. It's not flashy, as he said before. Like Robert Horry just said, these guys don't talk. These guys are real quiet, so you don't really say much. Tim Duncan, real quiet.
Shaq ain't quiet.
Shaq is the one that's not. But Akeem.
Kareem wasn't that quiet.
He really was. He was really deliberate with his conversation.
He was still pretty charismatic and outgoing. I mean, he was an actor pretty much and did a lot of stuff. So I would say you're right. He's kind of a mixture of both. But you're right. On the court, I don't know if he was considered to be that outgoing, charismatic.
Yeah.
Shaq was the one.
Shaq
totally
was the
against
one.
grain on that
Yeah,
one.
he was just totally against the grain on everything. But you sit here and you look at what the Joker has done, and you brought this up the other day, Rod. You're like, I want Jimmy to win because I don't want to hear Joker.
Well, I just think he's a more compelling superstar.
Right.
He's more charismatic as a superstar. Joker's got a Mike Trout quality about him where he doesn't want
That's a great point.
all of the
That's a great point.
superstardom. He's like, no, you can have that. I just want to ball out and be the greatest of all time at my craft and what I do. And it's like, yeah, I know, but there's a burden of being a superstar with that you actually got to be entertaining. You got to create some headlines. That's part of being an ambassador for the sport. But there is no question. look at this real quick, all right, about Jokic, because we should already be having a conversation about Jokic as one of the all-time greatest big men, but he's got to win the title to solidify it. But I can't wait till the narrative shifts. Listen to these numbers. So among players with at least 2,000 career playoff minutes, that's quite a bit of sample size, right? Jokic ranks 13th in both assists per game and rebounds per game.
And that's not just counting big man.
He's 13th in both assists per game and rebounds per game. No other player is in the top 30 in both stats.
That's what I was, and that's not.
Larry Bird is the closest, 22nd in assists, 32nd in rebounds, and Jokic is 6th in points per game among that group, averaging 27 points per game. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It totally is unbelievable.
And you go look at it from another. How about another stat for you? Among players with at least 1,000 career playoff shot attempts, Jokic ranks second with 57% effective field goal percentage, field goal accuracy. He's behind Dwight Howard. If you look at, let's go to another stat. You go look at clutch shooters. He's made 15 of 32 attempts in the last 3 minutes of a playoff game with the score within 3 points, according to StatHead. That's 47%. That is fourth best among the 45 players who qualify with at least 30 such shot attempts since 1996. If you go look at plus minus, box plus minus, offensive box plus minus, only Michael Jordan at 8.8 has a better playoff career box plus minus than Nikola Jokic at 8.1, ahead of LeBron James at 7.5. We already should be. Look at PER, play efficiency rating. He's number one.
Yeah.
28.9. Michael Jordan's 28.6 right behind him, and then LeBron James 27.9 right behind him.
Right.
It is. But you got to win rings.
He should already be there.
But that's
He's
the
up there,
thing.
but you
got to
win
rings. Yeah.
Because it's all about, can you put up stats while winning? Because we saw, like, SGA put up great stats tonight. No one's putting him in near a conversation, or this year, but no one's putting him in a conversation with the greats, because you go, well, yeah, if you're on a losing team, you're going to put up more points. Now he's getting to that level. And then the other fact, he's done this for 5 years. For 5 years, he has been a really good player.
Yep.
Akeem did it for like 13. Tim did it for 13, 14. Shaq did it for 13.
No, you're right.
So there is something to, well, yeah, but can you keep it going? He's only 28, so he very easily could. So he can start entering in this conversation, and if he wins a title, then you go, oh, man. Now, if he wins multiple, but Akeem won 2, Shaq won 4, Tim won 5.
Yeah.
So there is parts of it of how long can you go? How long can your dominance be out there? Now, he's on track again at 28 years old. He could very easily jump into this conversation.
I think
and shout out to CB for finding the article about him idolizing Tim and saying Tim's the greatest of all time. Because that's a great person to judge your game after if you're looking for somebody whose game is not built on athleticism alone.
Okay.
So it is. I think he is very much entering into that conversation, and especially if they sweep Miami, you put him now. It's like, oh man. And I go, I've already seen the haters coming out, and it's like the easiest path to the finals ever. And you're like, man, they didn't pick it.
They handled their business.
They dominated whoever they put in front of them.
Yeah.
And they did.
And not only
dominated.
that, it wasn't their fault that some of these other teams did not excel as they thought they were going to.
And also, it's a team where if they win this year, you'll see teams start to figure out, man, we have to figure out a way to guard them. Like we have to, it's what happened with Shaq, where you had to figure out a way to guard Shaq. With the Spurs, you had to figure out a way to guard the Spurs. You had to figure out a way to guard the Lakers. You had to figure out a way to guard the Celtics. There's teams that if you're there in your conference,
the
only way we're going to beat them is if we know how to stop him. So we need 2 big men now, because all these teams start to go real small. And Jokic is eating on the small teams right now because they don't have big guys to put bodies on him. And that's what we're going to see with Miami tonight. They don't have the bodies.
I hate this discussion. Asterisk on Akeem. No Jordan. No!
No, you can say asterisk on the titles. You can't say on his career. Let's spread the record. And by the way, there's no asterisk.
Well, no,
stop throwing your asterisks out.
That's the whole thing.
Stop throwing your asterisks out. They're stupid. Asterisk on Jordan.
If there's an asterisk on the titles, there's an asterisk on Hakeem.
Asterisk on Jordan. Scottie Pippen was underpaid.
You just said Jokic doesn't get in that conversation unless he has the titles. You got to get the titles to get inside the velvet rope. Hakeem, though he had the titles, he don't get inside the velvet rope. So actually, if you put an asterisk on those titles, you put an asterisk on Hakeem's career.
For the record, those teams could have beaten the Bulls.
Well, see,
Because the Bulls had to rebuild in those 2
that's
years.
a different discussion. Like I said, I don't want to have that discussion.
They had to get rid of
We
Horace
had
Grant.
that discussion a ton. We can have it in the offseason once
Hey
the
man,
NBA is done.
if y'all are still on Michael Jordan's jock, get off. He hates you. Just to let you know.
Yeah, he gonna talk about
he
you
wouldn't
in his-
let you near him unless you had $100,000 to bet him. Get off his jock.
Yeah.
Frustrating. Try and talk
No, I
NBA.
understand.
Michael Jordan's the best. No,
I know.
asterisk, he wasn't playing. Come on. Hakeem was amazing. I'm a Spurs fan, and I have to admit how good Hakeem was.
Yeah,
because he was
everybody
just
has
fun
to.
to watch. I'll enjoy watching Hakeem highlights because he was so good.
Yes.
No, it's
The
interesting-
dream shake.
It's an interesting conversation with Big Shot Bob saying Hakeem is the greatest big man in his opinion. He played with 3 of the top top 10 easily.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Some of the top
I
5
will say
potentially.
he didn't like the Spurs.
Huh?
He didn't like the Spurs. He played
Yeah,
there.
but that's
He was
got
not a
nothing to
huge
do with
fan.
his opinion of Tim Duncan.
No, it does because his opinions of everything Spurs after he left has been pretty negative.
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying his opinions on everything has been pretty much anti-negative, anti-Spurs.
well, all right.
In multiple interviews, I've seen it.
Okay, you have to defend the Spurs. I get it. All right, we're coming. He's got to. He can't let.
It's
he can't-
hey,
he's
it's
not
like me
gonna
and the
let
Cowboys.
Elway
I'm
let defend
gonna
them
ride with
Spurs.
them. I'm gonna ride with them.
All right, we come back. We'll get to NFL news, notes, and nuggets. We'll talk about Mike McCarthy's comments about DeAndre Hopkins and Aaron Rodgers trying to get his GM fired, trying to pull a coup d'etat. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. I'm getting older and hopefully getting a little bit wiser. And as I get older and wiser, I realize some things you got to leave in the past. You can't take everything with you moving forward. And some things I'm ready to leave in the past, frankly, like social distancing and council culture and the Big 12. But one thing I'll never leave in the past is my favorite beer. And that's your favorite beer, too, Bud Light. I've been drinking Bud Light for a long time, since my days on the 40 Acres, on 36th Street, even through my time in the NFL as a player. But now I have to decompress after a long, hard day, or to reward myself after a hard day of yard work, whatever it may be. A Bud Light is a great way to end the day. It's also a great way to get your tailgates going on Saturdays for my Longhorn tailgates. Also for those NFL Sundays, nothing better than breaking out the Bud Light. So whether you want to toast and cheers to a brighter tomorrow or drown your sorrows, it's never a bad time to break out the Bud Light. It isn't just for anybody, it's for everybody. It's the best way to get the good times going and keep that Bud Light flowing. Bud Light is the sure sign of good time because it turns those good times into great times and the rest of the times into the best of times. So remember, Bud Light, it's my choice and it should be your choice. It's the world's favorite light beer and it's brewed deep in the heart of Texas. Proud of it. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams that's supposed to leave us clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day, one of Harge's favorite songs. And yet, got nothing?
We got NBA playoffs starting tonight,
All right.
and I'm going with that.
Okay.
I'm a winner.
Can you give me the name of the song?
And the Space Cowboy?
It is not Space Cowboy.
What is it?
The song is called The Joker.
The Joker.
Oh, the
Well
Joker.
done.
I'm a midnight.
So you're right. It is
Joker.
NBA Finals related, but this is The Joker.
So
As
this
in
one is
Jokic. The Joker.
So hold on. So what's the other songs? Are they
all
just
about
finals
they're
related?
Finals related.
Finals related.
You see,
wow.
if you can guess on each song how it's connected and
Good
get
stuff.
there. Yeah.
That was well done.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Patrick. As always. That's why he's the ideal people. Specs text line. So I'm glad you got it. So now we can open up
Now
the
we
Specs
can
text
open
line
it back
again.
up.
512-337-3776. That is pretty damn clever, actually. I don't know. Was this challenging? To find songs?
Look, I had nothing else, so I had it, but we'll see. We'll see if you like the rest of them.
Okay.
There's a lot. I mean,
'Cause I'm trying to think. I'm like, so they're all going to be related to players or themes from the
we'll
finals?
see. We'll see as we go along.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'm
now
looking
we got
forward to it.
we
I'm
got an
intrigued.
idea. We got an idea.
I'm intrigued. A new theme
like
Thursday. Appreciate that from Patrick. All right, let's get to some NFL news, notes, and nuggets, gentlemen. So the Athletic had a story from Matt Schneidman, who claims in his story, and he claims that he made a request, that Aaron Rodgers, made a request through his agent, all right, to have Brian Gutekunst, the GM, fired while he was there, right after they drafted Jordan Love. Maybe a year after they drafted Jordan Love. They hint in this story. It was the 2021 offseason. The Athletic indicates that early in that offseason, Dunn contacted Mark Murphy, the president of the Packers, and he basically delivered an ultimatum from Aaron Rodgers or via his agent, either fire Brian Gutekunst or trade Aaron Rodgers. That essentially was the ultimatum. And I guess later on they decided to trade Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, it all does go back to the Jordan Love draft pick that initially upset and made him disgruntled, if you will. And then it kept growing and festering until even after he wins the MVP, or at least was it MVP? Was it 2021 season?
Yeah, he won the MVP.
So yeah, that season I guess
Because remember he went back to back.
Yeah, so I imagine that's when he's feeling like he's got enough prodigious clout to make that type of bold move to pull a coup. It did not work, though. The Packers stuck with their GM, Brian Gutekunst.
And rightfully so. I mean, the thing about Aaron Rodgers that is the most annoying is obviously he's an MVP type of player. We know that he can lead, but he doesn't win championships. He's won one championship. With all those MVPs, with all those opportunities, because he's been in those opportunities to go and win, and he hasn't. And everybody wants to be critical of the quarterback position. They want to be critical of the way that things go, and everybody's fond of him as a player. But it seems like as an individual, he's not a good person to be around. I'm just saying from afar. I don't know him personally, so I can't say that. But I will say this. Listen, man, you have always shown something other than the ultimate leader. You're probably a leader when you show up, but you don't seem to be the leader that wants to bring people along. Now, he's in New York. He's there every day, going to parties, going to events, making himself known to the people. And I heard him do an interview the other day, and he was talking about the fact, oh, yeah, man, I'm here because when I was in Green Bay, I knew everything that was going on. Yeah, but your teammates didn't. And you were quick to criticize them, but you weren't there to teach them, to guide them, to lead them in the right way. So that is why I've always had an issue whenever Aaron Rodgers, regardless of how great he is as a football player, he doesn't seem to understand that this is a team sport. You get individual awards, but as a team, you want everybody to be on your level, but you're not helping them get to that level. And it takes more than just the time we have at practice. And you know that. You know that personally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. I do think that ultimately there's a toxic effect to having Aaron Rodgers on your squad because he is a very selfish
Yes.
and self-centered superstar. But when he's motivated, and usually he's motivated when he feels slighted, like somebody disrespected him.
I think he's motivated now.
Exactly, right? When he was when he dropped in the draft and he was motivated because he felt like he should have been drafted higher. That Aaron Rodgers was committed to being the best quarterback in the league, and at one point became that quarterback and a Super Bowl winning quarterback that's winning MVPs. And then after he got bored with football for the most part, started hanging out with Hollywood starlets and celebrities, and they drafted Jordan Love ahead of him. That's when he felt disrespected. Why would they draft their quarterback when they need to be drafting weapons for me? I'm the quarterback. I'm the franchise. And he felt, slighted, and he went out there, and we saw the best of Aaron Rodgers and won MVP. Once again, I do think he believes he's got a lot to prove, and he thinks people have counted him out, and they believe he's done. So the thought is you'll get the best of Aaron Rodgers. You also get the worst of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
You're going to get all the selfish tendencies. You'll get the arrogance and all that stuff too. But hopefully the good outweighs the bad, right? It's the hot to crazy ratio. If she's crazier than she is hot, then it's time to move on. But as long as she is just as hot as she is crazy, or she's hotter than she is crazy, you can deal with it. We've all dealt with it.
Yep.
And that's Aaron Rodgers. Right now, I still think he's hotter than he is crazy.
Yeah, and he definitely is hotter.
He's hot.
But he's definitely at that point
crazy.
now where he is trying to prove a point to what you said. He's motivated. He's been slighted. He got out of Green Bay, and now he's going to go back out there and show everybody. See, y'all messed up. Y'all should have fired him. And now, look what y'all dealing with. Now y'all wanted Jordan Love. Go live your life. Be in love. But now I'm about to be in New York partying it up. I'm out here seeing all the starlets.
I love your Aaron Rodgers.
He's out there. He's ready, man. He's ready.
All right, real quick before we get into the flex here, I love this story from the Cowboys. So it comes from the Dallas Morning News, and you saw this, Harge. And so apparently Mike McCarthy was asked about DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
This quote came from the Dallas Morning News. And when he was asked about DeAndre Hopkins as a free agent, he said, quote, "I really like the look of our group." And he said, "There's nothing good that comes out of those answers. Hop is a hell of a talent, though." But he said he likes their group. How about this?
Come on, man.
It's the first time that and by the way, the Cowboys are about to have $10 extra million in cap space, so they'll probably get close to $20 million in cap space actually. So they can make some moves. But I just found out that the Cowboys now with this wide receiving core, first time in franchise history, they've had 3 receivers on the roster that have all had 1,000-yard season in their careers at least once.
Right.
It's Gallup's down.
He has been hanging out with Jerry Jones too much, though.
Who does?
Mike McCarthy, he said, "I like our guys."
Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
just said it a different way, but he still said, "I like our guys."
That's exactly what I got from it, Patrick. And I'm sitting there looking at it.
Like the
and
look
this
of
is
our group.
this is another opportunity that could possibly be passed up. That you have a chance to go get a playmaker, because you know what's going to end up happening? Philly is going to say, "You know what? Let's go get him. Let's go make something happen," because Philly is not afraid to push the envelope.
They are nuts.
And that is why they got a chance to play in the Super Bowl last year. This is one of the situations that we've been talking about for some time, is like the Dallas Cowboys. I know that it may not be that one player. And we talked yesterday, Rod, about how we thought that they had a great offseason. A lot of people looked at them, put them at number 3 in the offseason movements of what happened. But yet and still, I'm sitting there looking at it another way and saying, go make a move. It doesn't matter. Just go do it.
They did. Made 2.
Go get
Stephon
another
Gilmore,
one. Here's-
Brandon Cooks. See,
that was great.
You're a typical Cowboys fan. I said, make a move. They made 2. Make another one.
Make another one. I need a home run higher.
You sound like my wife.
I need another
Every
one.
time I do something, like, I just did it. Well, here, I got something else to do. Well, I just did.
You
what
supposed
told
to
me
do that. You supposed to do that.
He's got that Janet Jackson. "What have you done for me
He
lately?"
really is.
I really
Like,
do.
he's like,
Because
make
I
a
was
move,
tired
like-
of looking at Philadelphia make moves and get and get the results out of it.
Now but Philly has they are, I would say that's more in their character as an organization. With Howie Roseman, they make a lot of moves in the offseason.
Go get Howie.
And that's a move. But this is one of the most active offseasons the Cowboys ever had. The Cowboys do not like free agency. They've said it over and over again. Catboy has always said you overspend in free agency, so they don't like it. They want basically any type of acquisition or means of acquisition where they can get a bargain. They can get bang for their buck. Yep. That's the draft, that's undrafted free agents, and that is trades. They don't like free agency because they believe you overpay in free agency. And they're right, by the way.
Can they play running back? Because we need another running back.
Dalvin Cook is what I want.
Yes.
If you want to make another move, but apparently he wants to go to Miami, reportedly.
Of course.
And Miami wants him.
And he's a Florida guy. They already got a track team down there.
No, I mean, if you ask me whose offense don't want to play in Mike McCarthy or Mike
I'm
McDaniels,
going to McDaniels, too.
that's a pretty
great
easy
point,
choice,
too.
right?
That's a great point, too.
Oh,
But we
man.
need to put some respect on Big Mike's
good
name.
point.
No,
man.
I'm not. I like Mike McDaniel's offense a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
so
Mike McDaniel's
that's
offense.
if you're asking me, Mike McDaniels beats out a lot of guys of offense who have won a play.
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. That's a great point. If you had the chance to play for Mike McDaniels or Mike McCarthy's offense, and one has won the Super Bowl and has got skins on the wall, but Mike McDaniels just seems like more fun anyway. I mean, he's got vapes on the sideline.
Yep.
Doing games like who?
It was a pin. It was a Sharpie.
Yeah,
We've
no.
proven that it was a Sharpie.
No, I saw some.
A little smoke
Now,
coming out.
I will
there.
say
I saw
that's
some
because
puff
he was
come
having
out of there.
withdrawals, but it was a Sharpie.
Oh man, but yeah, I agree. I think I hope Dalvin Cook would like to play for the Cowboys or the Miami Dolphins.
Me
but
too.
That's the move they need to make. They need
I haven't heard
they need a running
nobody
back.
trying to go get him yet. I haven't heard any other
No.
players reaching out. Well, because he wasn't released yet. Was he finally released today?
No.
Dalvin Cook?
No.
Yeah, so
No,
we
so
still
they're
waiting.
They
because
said-
they know there's still teams out there. They're still looking to make a trade.
Yeah.
Because basically they said they were going to release him, and then everyone jumped up. They wanted
Ears
him. And they're
perked up, and they were
wait a
like, whoa,
minute.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's what
But
happens
you
when
can
you
get
talk out
something
loud,
for him.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
give
something for him.
Give us a fifth pick,
All right,
fifth
exactly.
round or something
Fifth,
for
you
him.
can get something for Dalvin
Yeah.
Cook, man. Dalvin Cook's a damn good back.
Save us some money.
Yeah, no, but I think for the Cowboys, man, he would put the offense over the top. DeAndre Hopkins, that helps, but your wide receiver room is loaded. I just gave you the stat.
You do?
I will tell you this. This is another one. If you have some extra cap space and Dalvin Cook's not available, you can always call Tennessee, even though they said no, they got 0 phone calls for Derrick Henry. If they want to get rid of his $12.5 million in cap, and you say, we'll take $12.5, we got the cap room. Wow. We'll take him in, and we'll use him for the last couple of years. And
once again,
Set
have the
him on
most
his way?
expensive running back room in the NFL.
But if you got to do it, you got to do it.
That would be no, but I don't disagree because the thunder and lightning element to Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard. You may also have the best backfield in the NFL, and you're better for what you're gonna pay for.
For $22.5 million.
Exactly.
And that's not including Deuce Vaughn and whatever they gave Ronald Jones.
No way. If you want to run the ball more, you better have a plan. And Derrick Henry is a plan. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila, my go-to tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. You guys know about it by now because I've been talking about it for a long time. And I got to tell you, every time I get a chance to enjoy a little Hot Cat Tequila, feels like there's a party going on. That's what Hot Cat Tequila is all about. It can turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila. And the recipe, it's just as simple, just as delicious, and just as brilliant. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It will turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration, like I said. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you'll never, ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of and you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Oh, that's great. Welcome back. New theme Thursday, and Patrick the Idealionaire once again has outdone himself on a new theme Thursday where he takes jams and based on the selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints, little breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day. And this one's all about the NBA Finals tonight, and all of the songs are basically songs that are about a theme or a player or some type of storyline from the NBA Finals. And this one, Jim.
You don't mess around with Jim.
That's great.
Jim Croce, right?
I love that.
Yeah. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger.
Yep.
And you don't mess around with Jim.
That's great.
There it is.
And
That
that's
is
a
fantastic.
lesson to the Denver Nuggets.
Oh yeah,
Don't
I like
mess
that.
with Jim.
Don't that's
I guarantee you they're
that's
accepting
fantastic.
that challenge.
Well, we know now that Jimmy Butler also a big fan of country music. So
Yeah.
turns out, Jimmy Butler, this got kind of a country music feel to it.
Some old Jim Croce.
Man, that's great. I like that. No, was he talking about himself in there?
I have no idea if he was.
Probably.
So was he? Man, that's
Because you don't mess with Jim.
So his name was Jimmy Top. Man, that's a press.
I mean, he calls him Jim Walker earlier in the song. So maybe he
it's
changed
another
last
Jim.
name, but he was still. I never thought of Jim Croce as the guy you don't mess around with, but who knows?
Who knows? All right. Well, the flex is also something that you should mess around with because of the flex always got you covered when it comes to your high school sports here in the area. Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Last night's flex was loaded. I mean,
my
it was a
goodness.
star-studded affair. They had Miles Coleman on.
Yeah, Miles Coleman was on.
Miles Coleman was on from Manning.
Alex Foster
on the safety. Miles Coleman is the wide receiver, kind of an offensive weapon, if you will.
Yeah.
But Alex Foster was on too, who's the safety from Vandergrift. And they had the Adams boys on.
Yep.
Right?
Deuce and Eli.
And Deuce is he's
the one that's going to Louisville.
He's going to Louisville.
Yeah.
And that's
Eli's still being recruited right now.
okay.
And so it's funny because I reached out to Mike Adams yesterday and I said,
Shout
hey,
out.
man.
Lifetime Longhorn.
I was like, hey, man, where your boys at right now? He's like, I don't know. I've been looking for them. I was like, well, turn on the radio because they're about to be on the radio. He didn't even know. Because I asked him, I said, does your dad know where y'all at? No, we didn't even tell him we was coming over here.
Man, there you go. They got independence.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, man, Lifetime Longhorn Mike Adams, good people, man. I hung out with Mike when I went back to school, and obviously doing really good. Now
doubt.
got a new home as the
home.
offensive coordinator over there at Vandergrift.
Vandergrift.
So Vandergrift's making some moves.
Major moves.
First
Don't
of all,
forget Jacob Henry's over there
Henry's
too.
now transferred over there too, and the Adams boys have transferred over there.
Yep.
Coach Adams now talked about Lifetime Longhorn. Mike Adams now added to the coaching staff, and I've been talking about Alex Foster. Man, he plays the game like a machine.
That's your guy.
Dude, he's a really good player. And to be so young.
Yes.
I mean, I think he's probably like the 2024.
No doubt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he graduated next year. So is Miles Coleman. So is Deuce. So
Yeah, they got a lot of talent.
They got
there.
a lot of talent. So is Jacob.
Yeah, expecting big things about from Vandergrift this year, man. All right, so go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Speaking of the flex, you got a special guest coming up for us in Harsh Knock Live.
That's
correct?
right. We're going to have the head coach of the Westlake Chaparrals, JT Blair. He will be previewing the big game that starts tonight, the big series that starts tonight against San Antonio Johnson. San Antonio Johnson is trying to become district champion in Austin area because they knocked out Bowie, they knocked out Lake Travis, and now they're headed to take on Westlake. That starts tonight. It will be a 7 o'clock first pitch right across the street at Westlake.
They're saying, hey, we should be in the flex area.
Exactly. We should be part of this flex.
As many flex teams as we beat.
That's right. And a special shout out to Rouse as they take on Bernie Champion tonight at 7 o'clock as well. And shout out to the Taylor Ducks. They won last night against China Spring, 3-0. They will be playing game 2 today.
Okay, Taylor.
Yep, Taylor's doing their
They
thing. They're
are.
quacking over there.
All right, I like that. All
And
right.
they're trying to get the duck off the back. You know what I'm talking about? They're
I
doing
like
it.
that. Yeah, see, you got a fan over here.
There
Taylor.
it is.
Proud Taylor fans. Y'all should be. All right, we'll get into some more flex. Like I said, when we come up to Harsh Knock Life coming up at 4:30. You don't want to miss that. Coach JT Blair. He's got He's intense.
He is very intense.
He's intense. We like that's why that baseball program is really damn good too. All right, so we'll get into that. We'll come back. We'll talk Texas basketball, Texas football, and Texas baseball. We go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll preview Texas baseball's matchup versus Louisiana. Dylan Mitchell returning for Texas basketball. We'll discuss that as well. And CDC, the athletic director, went on Paul Feinbaum, and we'll hear that audio from Paul Feinbaum and talk some Texas football as well. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. We know Austin is a beautiful city, a magnificent one, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. As our city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, maybe you want something new, something fresh, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, Ironworkers Local 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now for a huge project right here in Central Texas. So you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick takes songs, certain selections that are supposed to give us clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day, which is all about the NBA Finals today. And each song is about a player, a storyline, a theme from the NBA Finals, which start tonight. And what's this one about?
It's Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Which, fun fact, FCC banned this song for a little bit.
Why? Because
Because it's called Rocky Mountain High, and they thought it was
It's all
about
about the
drugs.
drugs?
And it's not. But they were like, he says high in the title. It must be about drugs. And then John Denver was like, no, it's like you go outside and experience nature and you feel a natural high. That's what it's about.
But
It's
he could just be saying that.
He could, but
And-
if you listen to the lyrics of the song, he's basically about, look how beautiful this area is and things are so great. It's not really.
It's one of those songs that's not overtly about drugs, but it could be about
You
drugs.
could turn it to that, or you could be like, "Isn't nature beautiful?"
It's like Puff the Magic Dragon.
Oh, that was about drugs.
Why you just saying? So you're like, what? That's not about drugs.
No,
Like, yeah,
that was 100% about drugs.
And some people said this is about drugs, but
Yeah, but but that was just funny. The FCC ban. You're like, really? This is what you were worried about? Corrupting the youth?
But Denver and obviously Colorado is known for many
Yes.
types of highs, and one of them is the high you get from the sticky icky.
Yes,
But it's mostly about the altitude.
That is also
Yes.
you
Or-
get high from that too. though.
or
You
the
do.
natural high you get when you sweep the Miami Heat in the finals.
Yeah, I'm not. No, they cannot
not
get
going
swept.
there,
I'm
you're not going all the way
That's not
there?
going to be a sweep. Matter of fact, I'll take Miami to win Game 1. How about that one? That's the only game I think they can
My
win.
man going out
They're
there.
going to win Game 1.
I honestly, I think Jimmy Butler can win one, but
Like I said, I think it might be this one.
it might be this one.
Because I don't know if you. The Denver Nuggets haven't lost at home. They are going to be rusty. We all agree to start out because you just haven't played basketball competitively at the most competitive level in a long time because they've been so dominant. They swept their way through pretty much the Western Conference. And that rust, like I said, I think it'll last like a quarter or a half. And that may be enough for Miami Heat to get on top, pounce on the Denver Nuggets, catch them by surprise. Jimmy goes off, 3-point shooting, still hot, and I think they can do it. But I mean, like I said, the more the series goes on, the more Denver has their advantages, in my opinion, become almost insurmountable
Right.
for the Miami Heat. Because the Miami Heat don't have many. What's the advantages? Let's go through the advantages the Miami Heat have. Jimmy Butler. But you can't even say he's the best player in the series because Jokic is the best player
Well,
in the
no, and
series.
the way
then
Jamal Murray's been playing,
too.
he's
I'm like,
50-50 the best player at that position.
So
Yeah.
you can't even say they're the best player. See, they just got Jimmy, and Jimmy is special. Jimmy is special.
Jimmy Butler can be the best player at that position, but is he going to be every game? Because if Jamal Murray plays like he did against the Lakers, Jamal Murray's going to have some games where he's going to shine bright.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And then we got the coaching thing. So Spo,
Yup.
Spo is an advantage. And then you go DNA, you go championship DNA and pedigree. That's the Miami Heat because basically, since like 2006 they made their first run. Nobody's been to the finals more than they have. So and Pat Riley, nobody's been to the finals more as a player, exec, or a coach. Then Pat Riley's been to 25% of the NBA Finals. So if you want to go championship pedigree, experience, and coaching, that may be all the advantages that the Miami Heat have. This is truly, you can't even go David and Goliath. I would go more the suit because David beat Goliath. So I'm not, people are like, oh, no. I will go Superman versus Batman is a more appropriate comparison.
Here we go with the Marvel.
It is. Because right now Denver seems like Superman. And when you always have that debate, which all nerds have had, and I've had it too, who would win out of Superman and Batman, it seems like a stupid argument, a stupid debate.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Superman has all the powers. How can Superman lose? But we all agree Batman's a bad mofo.
He
And
does.
Jimmy's a bad mofo.
He don't have laser eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't have X-ray vision. He
can't see
fly.
through you.
He can't see through you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have superhuman strength. All of these advantages that Superman has. He's like, why are we having this debate? We're having this debate because Batman is respected. All right,
Yes, respected.
among comic book nerds and among all the people who are into the sci-fi world, we respect his acumen,
Yes.
his intellect.
Yes.
Has no superpowers, but his grit, his fortitude. You know what I mean? He's not an undrafted player. He's a billionaire. So
I mean, like,
he's got some
I
advantages
was
on
gonna
his side.
say,
But still,
He
that's,
inherited a lot of money, dog.
that's kind of what it reminds me of.
I don't know.
And-
Jimmy Butler lost his parents early on. His parents abandoned him. So kind of Batman.
Oh, wow.
He was
It's
abandoned.
true. It's
He
part of
was
his story.
abandoned. That
It's
makes
part
it
of his
who he
story.
is.
Part of the story.
That makes
It
it
is
who
part
he
of the story.
is.
Wow.
It shows you who he is, of how tough he is
That
as a
is-
person.
There you go. Well, there you go. That Patrick, I did not take it that far, that deep. That was deep right there. Thank you.
He letting you know.
That was deep right there. There you go. All right, let's get back on track here because Patrick took it to a dark side of the Jimmy Butler.
Sorry, I've only watched the first 5 minutes of a lot of Batman movies.
Because you know he don't watch
I know
movies.
about Batman.
Because you don't let
it's
him
in
know
the-
about movies.
He's
It's
right,
in the
that's
first 5
crucial.
minutes of every Batman
That's
movie.
a crucial backstory to Batman. It is. It's crucial. He always loses his parents, even though they've changed up. It used to be the obsession with the Joker was the Joker killed his parents.
Yeah.
And now they've changed that up where the Joker didn't kill his parents. His parents were just killed by, just some heathens, some thugs on the street kind of stuff. So, it changed up a little bit. Sorry if I spoiled something for somebody out there who hadn't seen any of the Batman. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
Batman's
alert.
parents are dead.
Someone
Yeah.
says Patrick needs Jesus. that was pretty darn. It was accurate though. It really
It's
was.
accurate. It's part of the story.
Very much part of the story. All right, let's get to Dillon Mitchell's story because Dillon Mitchell coming back to Texas, gentlemen, and I think everybody's excited about this, and why wouldn't you be? He did enter the NBA draft. Or at least submit his name, I should say, for the NBA draft, and went through the pre-draft process as well, combine workouts, and there were a lot of people, including most of us, I thought, that pretty much thought it was a done deal, that he was going to go to the NBA or maybe get drafted in the second round, and he had made his mind up. That was not the case because Dillon Mitchell is returning to the University of Texas, and I think that basketball fans are more than thrilled. I mean, this is going to be a huge piece that they're bringing back, and you're talking about a guy that's got a ton of upside. One thing about the pre-draft process that he got people excited about was the potential for him to have an outside shot, and I believe once he comes back here to Texas, that'll be one thing he's trying to check off the list that scouts probably gave him of things they want him to improve on, and with Coach Terry, I'm sure that that's going to be a part of their overall identity offensively is Dillon Mitchell being someone who can be a threat as an outside shooter. He didn't shoot not one 3-point attempt.
Not one.
Not one 3-point attempt in the entire 2022 season. Even got this stat from Horns 24/7 that you go look at it is he was 69 of 87 on what they call close twos or that within 10 feet of the basket. So that's where he did most of his damage. From the free throw line, just inside the 3-point line, he was 7 of 32. So he didn't really, show that he could be even a mid-range outside shooter. If he adds that to his game, Harge, I think that could propel his draft stock potentially to make him a first round.
How you like me now? He's back here making play. He's going to be able to make plays. He's going to add another element to his game, and this is going to make the Texas basketball team a team to be reckoned with. Me and Patrick were talking about this a little bit earlier, and it's like, remember, Texas didn't have players when Coach Beard was here. There was only 2 players that were on the roster when he first got here, and then he created this roster. Everybody thought when Rodney Terry took over the position that, oh my gosh, look at this, all these players are leaving. Oh Lord, they're gone. We ain't gonna be able to do anything. Now all of a sudden he's got a full squad, and it seems to be even better with experience than what it was before. I know everybody's upset about Ron Holland. He didn't go to a different school. He went to the G League. He's making money. A.J. Johnson, he didn't go to another school. He went to a league where he can make money. Now you're bringing back some guys that were part of the Elite Eight. There's a lot of experience on this squad. Now you have an opportunity to build a great team and get after it. That's the most beautiful part for me is when you look at what Dillon Mitchell learned, what we learned about him is that he can shoot a 3. Now, it's different when you got a hand in your face and it's in a pressure situation. There's a lot of things that's going to be there.
Yep.
But we also know that now he has that in his arsenal. He has that in his bag. And I'm sure Coach Terry and all the other coaches on that staff got a chance to see that too and was like, all right, we got to let him go ahead and work on this because he did come back to us. Now let's see if we can feature this in part of his game and spread the floor even more so. Because when you look at him, he's probably one of the most athletic players that you will see out there.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to be able to see, and this is going to go a lot to Rodney Terry developing his culture and developing his style.
Yes.
So we know Chris Beard.
Playing
Chris
fast.
Beard wanted to win basketball games. He was not necessarily developing you for the next level. Now, he was going to try and help you become a better player.
Absolutely.
He was going to help your defense. He was not helping stopping your progression, but he was not going, I'm putting you in a style of offense that is going to get you drafted necessarily because I want you to play way more defense. I want you to play a different style of offense. We're playing this style of basketball to win games.
Yeah.
Rodney Terry can find a medium ground in this where we want to play to win games. However, I know that I can now play a bigger lineup because I have some athletic bigs in Shedrick and Dylan Dessou and play Dylan Mitchell at the 3. And if I play him at the 3 instead of the 4 where he played a lot of last year, it opens up Dylan Mitchell to fall into where he finds a much better chance to get drafted at a higher position. So the reports were that a lot of scouts had told him it would be better for you to go back to college for one more year because your maturity level as demanding the ball, as being a star, and being a guy who's going to go take it wasn't quite where it needed to be.
Too passive.
Yes.
And you need to go back. And so Rodney Terry has to work with him on that of, hey, man, we're going to put you out on the wing where they're going to play in the pros where it's going to give you a little bit more space. They're going to let you shoot some threes. Shoot your threes. Because we think they're going to start falling. We know you're talented enough. We know you're going to work hard enough. You just got to start shooting them so you get the confidence up and you can hit those. And we just need them at the end of the season because we'll be able to get through non-conference play pretty okay. And then when we get to conference play, I want you to be another step forward. But once you get there, then we can work on driving the paint. But a 3-and-D guy is what they want him to be. And this will be a huge test for Rodney Terry because if Rodney Terry can take Dylan Mitchell from a mid-second round pick to a first-round pick, and especially a mid-first-round pick, if he takes that and develops him into an NBA player, recruiting-wise, is huge. Because all those players that are thinking, well, G League's not really calling me, and I'm going to do a one-and-done and go to the second round, but I need to move up to the first round. I need to get up there. This coaching staff can develop me into that player, and that's how you get the type of players that you want to get. What Ron Holland was expected to be was around that guy in a mid-first-round pick.
Yep.
He bumped up to the top 5, and when you're at that level, then you can go to the G League, and they're focused on you. But if Dylan Mitchell win the draft right now, he's getting drafted. He will have a two-way contract at least. They're going to send him to the G League to get some work. But the problem is he's not – the GM isn't basing his career on Dylan Mitchell, right?
Right.
It's not a first-round pick. This is a guy that if it works out, awesome. But if he doesn't work out, whatever.
Move on.
It's a second-round pick. We just move on. So he's not going to the G League coach every game and going, what's his report?
They're not
what is he
invested.
running in practice?
They're not invested.
They're going, hey, man, I want to see his stat lines. I want to see some video. But I don't need that. And if he goes to Texas they've only got a certain amount of guys to be invested in.
Yep.
And he needs to be a key piece of this team. I think if with this lineup you've got, he can play 3 starting for you next year instead of playing 4 with Timmy Allen gone. That's a huge step of building this team in a new way and helping him progress to where he needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, they're extremely athletic now in that front court with Dylan Dessou, Dylan Mitchell, Caden Shedrick, as you guys brought up as well. I mean, they are that's a really just athletic overall front court. So your rim protection, your defense, your rebounding should be on point. What else does this roster need now, guys? Another wing? What do you need now?
I think they're good. I mean, they can go out and now they can get some complimentary piece. There's a guy from, I think, Creighton, Kaluma, who pulled himself out of the draft. He said that he was going to be in the transfer portal. So if you can grab a guy like that, I'm all in for that.
And he's an interesting guy because he's 6'7", 2, kind of a wing player, but way more offensive. He's an offensive player, not like his defense is where he's lacking. So at Texas is a question of, does he want to come here to fix his defensive part of his game because that's what will help him get drafted higher?
Yep.
Or does he fit into what Texas wants to do at all? And they go, well, we don't want to pick you up because we're not going to be able to play you much. If you're not going to be playing defense, you can't play in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, right now, like I said, they don't have a ton of needs. They did address a lot in a short amount of time. As you pointed out, Harsh, the roster really came together.
I mean, quick.
And yeah,
Everybody was like, oh, my God, he's terrible. Get him out of here. He can't keep players. They're doing all this. And it's like, we're not winning championships right now. You're not trying. You still have a lot of time to build your roster. And he built his roster up. And now look. Now everybody's like, Texas might be in the top 5. We might be looking at Texas a little bit later, making another deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it easy.
To get Dylan DeSue and Dylan Mitchell back, I think most of us
And Tyrese
thought,
Hunter.
And Tyrese Hunter.
I think between those three, people thought you'd get one out of those three. You end up getting all three of them, maybe, and 2 out of 3 at best. You end up getting all.
And
three
you get
of
a
those
Max
guys.
Asmus, who is one of the higher.
Max
So he
Asmus.
wasn't a guy like Caleb Love or Hunter Dickinson coming from a big program, but 2 coaches and on scouting list, he was a top transfer target.
He was one of the top.
Yeah, he's a top
Yes.
3, top 5 transfer target. So you bring that in as well. You add a piece in Shedrick. You get the guy from UT Arlington. You get the guy from UTEP. So you get a couple other pieces that are going to be there, and maybe one of them turns out to be good. You keep Brock Cunningham as a culture guy and a guy in there who's going to be able to, especially with this really athletic team, be able to use a little bit of force when you need, when you're playing against because guys like, and I know we're not playing against him, but like Zach Edey came back for Purdue. There's a lot of guys like that in the Big 12 that you're going to have to bump with, and Brock Cunningham is going to be real good when you need someone to bump with them.
All right, let's get to some of this sound from CDC on with Paul Feinbaum before we get to Harsh Knock Life. So he was on with Paul Feinbaum during their SEC spring meetings. He's been out there in Florida, and he was asked several questions. The first piece of audio, he was asked his thoughts about the SEC, just overall, the culture of the SEC, just being around the coaches and the administrators for just a little while. Here is Chris Del Conte.
Well, what's interesting is because I've known, because I significant a lot of the ADs for his friends for a long, long time, but just to watch Commissioner Sankey, I've seen him from afar, but how he conducts business, how he involves coaches in decisions and administrators in decisions, it's just, you hear about it until you're immersed in it and you see what an unbelievable leader he is, and doesn't shy away from issues, direct, has conversations, his agendas, he keeps copious notes, is structurally, I've never seen anything like it. It's unbelievably impressive.
And this kind of goes to Harge what I thought the biggest reason was Texas moved to the SEC. And obviously there's a lot of different factors. It was multifactorial. It was for the money. It was to go play against the best. Recruiting was a part of it, all those different things. But honestly, in a time, probably the most uncertain era in the history of college sports, with the transfer portal, free market hitting amateurism in major college sports, and you have now NIL, and there's just so much uncertainty overall in college sports. You have to have leadership that has a clear, concise vision, a bold vision, and a plan to execute that vision. And Bob Bowlesby wasn't that guy. And did you want to hit your wagon in the most uncertain era in college sports to the leadership of Bob freaking Bowlesby?
No.
Or you want to hit your wagon to Greg Sankey, who might be the boldest visionary right now in college sports?
It's kind of ironic. I got a chance to talk to Mr. Sankey twice in my life.
Oh, nice.
Both on an interview, and you talk about a forward thinker.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody that pays attention, and he definitely, when he walks in a room, you know who he is, but he's not the one that you want to. You have to make sure that he announces his presence, right? He's a guy, when he comes into the room, he's surveying everything. He's checking everything out, and he's also trying to figure out, where do we go next? Where is the next move? And he was already in motion for all of this, because those are the types of things. You can't put your head in the sand. You talked about Yormark. We talked about Yormark and what he's done already. He's been in a different arena to where he's kind of figured some things out. That's what Greg Sankey has done already as the SEC commissioner.
Honestly, guys, Brett Yormark's got some of that. I know he's only been on the job less than a year, but Brett Yormark, he's sharp, man.
They are all
He's bold
in the game.
Yeah, he's a bold visionary, and that's what you need in this day and age.
For sure.
We don't have time for all these cuts. We'll get to some more of them in the top of the 6 o'clock. But one more cut, since we're talking about, why Texas decided the SEC was their future home in sports. Here is CDC being asked by Paul Feinbaum what led Texas to the SEC. Here is CDC.
It was an unbelievable conversation with our chairman of the board and President Hartzell. And we had these conversations about what? And we looked at where Texas is regionally, what matters to our fans, what matters to college athletics in general. And those conversations centered around leadership in the SEC is second to none. Every one of those programs are competing at the highest level. That's where we should be. That's where the University of Texas belongs, and we should be in that league. And when the conversation was presented to Commissioner Sankey from our leadership team, and he offered this opportunity, there was no debate about the Big Ten, the Pac-12, anywhere else. It was, if this is a possibility, this is where we should go. And it started with our chairman of the board and President Hartzell when we were just discussing what was going on in the landscape of college athletics. And they both said, is that possible? And we'll find out. And it was possible. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I think we were all a little surprised when it happened, but it goes back to bold leadership with a vision.
You got to be able to visualize certain things, then way things are changing in your future. And if you don't, you're going to get passed by.
Yeah, the Texas has now a holy trinity behind the scenes with, thank you, with Jay Hartzell, Kevin Eltife, Chris Del Conte, shout out to Chris Plonsky. But the leadership behind the scenes at Texas right now is on point, and I think a lot of us would agree. Okay, one last cut, because I know we got to get to Harsh Knock Life. This is actually, the question is in it. So this is Paul Feinbaum and Chris Del Conte kind of going at it, and they start talking about schedules a little bit later on. So here's the audio of Paul Feinbaum talking about how excited the SEC is to have Texas.
In terms of all these questions that come up, and I know you were asked earlier, you'll continue to be asked. Anytime I'm visiting Texas, it's all about the game. There's a lot of games for Texas. Everybody wants to play Texas. I've talked to Arkansas people. I've talked to Missouri people. I've talked to obviously Oklahoma and naturally A&M. What's going to happen?
I don't know. What I'm really excited about is the fact that we get to have college football, and your show specifically is all about embracing rivalries and the fans that embrace those rivalries. When you listen to your show and the call-ins, you go, "Who is that?" And they become fans of themselves, but they become great personalities, right? You look at us. For us, playing Arkansas again is so awesome. Coach Broyles and DKR retired on the same day in 1976. The Arkansas games mattered to our fan base so much in the 60s and 70s. A&M, we've been playing A&M forever. You got Oklahoma. You have Missouri from the old Big 12 days. But across the board, we've had great games at LSU. I mean, Alabama game last year was great. But for us to elevate ourselves to the programs we're playing and to come back to our rivals, that's what college sports is all about. And for Texas, we know who we are at all times, but the fact that we get a chance to take our brand, or who we are into the SEC and compete at the highest level, we are excited about that opportunity and thankful that we were given that opportunity.
All right, there you go. CDC talking about the SEC. He said he was splitting time, too. He said he's zooming into the Big 12 meetings that are happening right now while at the SEC spring meetings. That's a baller move right there.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
And Paul Feinbaum said, do they like that? He's like, no, they don't like that.
They don't like that at all.
The Big 12 is not happy about it.
But they don't like me no ways.
Exactly. Basically what he was saying is like, I got to be there, and they know I got to be there.
They already kicking me out.
Pretty much. Yeah, he's on his way out. And happily on his way out. All right, what you got coming up on Harsh Knock Life?
We got Coach J.T. Blair of the Westlake Chaparrals. If they're trying to defeat San Antonio Johnson, it starts tonight at 7 o'clock, and we got him here coming up in just a minute.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into Harsh Knock Life, talking some hardball with Hardball. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Welcome back to a New Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. And the new theme is about the NBA Finals and how each song has something to do with what's going on in the NBA Finals. But you can follow me on Twitter at HardballHard. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And you can follow my man behind the glass, Patrick Davis, at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show, so hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And joining us on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline is someone that's ready to get into the finals. It will be going on tonight and tomorrow and possibly Saturday. But joining us on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline is the head coach of the Westlake Chaparrals, our man, Coach JT Blair. Coach, how you doing today?
How you guys? You guys doing all right?
We're
Doing
doing
great,
good.
Coach.
We're doing good. We're excited for you guys. We're excited for all the teams here that are still in the mix, for whether it's the Taylor Ducks, who got the win yesterday, the Rouse Raiders that are continuing to play, but, of course, the Westlake Chaparrals. You got a big challenge coming up this week, starting with the San Antonio Johnson baseball team, one of the best teams in the state of Texas. They have actually taking out teams from your district. They took out Bowie. They also took out Lake Travis, and now they're making the trip back to Austin as well. What can you tell us about San Antonio Johnson?
I can tell you this. It's June the 1st, and the Westlake Chaparrals are still in the Texas State baseball playoffs, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I like that. I like that. So tell us about what's
good.
going on with them.
They're a lot like we are. You know, they're very athletic. They run the base as well. They don't have any guys on the mound that blow you away, but they got some guys that know how to get out. I mean, they're very similar to what we are. You know, this is going to be a good series, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I'll be over there tonight to check out the first game for sure. And you guys have been through some battles as well. I mean, we can talk about San Antonio Johnson being 33-5-2, but you guys have got a school record 38 wins, 38-4. You've gone through some tough teams as well, going up against Round Rock and being able to get out of that situation and continuing to go on, going down to the Valley against Eagle Pass. But talk about your squad and what's been going on with them and how they continue to fight.
You know, the good thing was we swept last week. We only played 2 games. You know, we got to save some arms and save some legs. You get to this point in the playoffs, everybody's starting to get a little tired, you know, and the bodies are wearing down a little bit. But we've been pretty fortunate that we've had some series that only went 2 games. We have had 1 series out of the 4 that went to full 3 games, and we're fortunate in that regard. But I'll tell you this, you know, we're going to be ready to go tonight. We've had a great week of preparation. You know, we've kept practices loose. Our guys are confident, and we're just ready to go. We're ready to get it on.
Well, talk about that too, Coach. We're talking to the head coach of the Westlake Chaparrals, JT Blair. Coach, you talking about, and you brought it up just a second ago, it's June 1st. Your guys are in this big game, big series coming up starting tonight. But this is something that your guys have been preparing for a long time. I know you got a senior-led group, but a lot of these guys by this time, they've already started their summer league baseball. So this is just a continuation of what they would be doing later. But now they're doing it for their high school.
You know, I had to call all those coaches and say, hey, you know, my guys aren't going to be with you for a while. You know, so they're going to stay with the Chaps, and you're going to have to do without them. So you know, they're used to playing in June. They get the motor running when it gets hot. So you know, all of our guys do that, and so they're used to it, and our guys are ready to compete tonight.
Well, you know what I love about your squad, Coach, is the competing on the mound. You got Chance Covert going to be on the mound tonight, but also your defense. Your defense they bring the glove love out there every single time, and then to get a chance to be in front of your home fans. What should folks expect tonight? I know they're going to go out there and play hard, but I know y'all got some great fan support that comes out and support these kids.
Man, you guys got to get over here tonight. They brought in extra bleachers. I mean, they got bleachers down the lines. I mean, it's going to be an absolute madhouse tonight over here in Westlake Nation. I can promise you that. But you know, we've been playing great defense all year. That's one of our signatures. our guys on the mound throw strikes and give us a chance to make plays, and our guys make plays. So I mean, I think we were the 2 games against Eagle Pass. That's 2 of the best defensive games we played all year, and luckily hopefully that holds true this series too.
So as a coach, when you're sitting there mentally preparing for this, how much film do you and your staff kind of break down? I know we understand what film study is all about and going through it. Is at this point of the year, it's pretty much, hey, our guys have been doing this. We're going to continue to do this. But when you look at the film of the other teams, what are some of the things that you are trying to pick up?
Well, we're focusing on our strengths, right?
Yep.
I mean, we're going to stay true to what we do. And as Coach Dodge used to say, the hay's in the barn, right? The hay's in the barn Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And on Thursday, you got to get ready to go. But we've looked at so much video. I mean, there's the great thing about baseball these days. You don't have to hardly send people to watch somebody. You can just pick it up on YouTube. I mean, it's all over the place. So, I mean, we've watched video after video after video, and we picked up a lot of good things. And they're a good team. This is going to be a good series, guys.
What have you seen from their starting pitching? I know you said that they're not going to blow you away, but they can spot pitches. Do they have lefty-righty combinations, or is it all one side of the mound?
All one side of the mound, the right-handers. They've got a guy that's a lot like Nathan Duval. He just competes. He battles. He's not a 93, 94 guy, but they just compete. They throw strikes. They're so similar to us. I'll say they're well coached. Coach Gazelle does a great job over there, and they're all very similar to the Chaparrals. I'm gonna tell you that.
Well, if you can get out to the ballpark, make sure you get over to the Westlake Nation. They're excited. They brought in extra bleachers, so you'll have a place to sit.
Right.
And I know Coach Blair is gonna have that team fired up. Coach, we want to wish you guys good luck and keep representing. And hopefully, as we talked about before, maybe I can get you back on next week.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Get on down here, man. Get you a hot dog, get you some peanuts, enjoy the show. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. There he is, Coach J.T. Blair of the Westlake Chaparrals.
Right,
He's
guys.
getting ready for his big game tonight as they take on San Antonio Johnson. San Antonio Johnson, 5-2. Excuse me, and Westlake Chaparrals 38-4. I think this is the first game in the playoff series that they've actually had the first game at their place too.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. And what I was told is they play tonight at home, tomorrow at San Antonio, and then if there is a game 3, they're going to play that at San Marcos High School.
Okay.
Because Texas State was already booked with something else, and the dish obviously is not going to work out, so they're moving them to San Marcos High School.
All right, yeah. I mean, he seems like he's done. He's confident in his team, of course, but that team he talks about them being kind of like Westlake.
Yep. So it's going to be a scrappy baseball game. If you look at some of the scores of Johnson's games, they won against Bowie. One of the games was 2-0. The second game was 12-3 against Lake Travis. They lost the first game 1-0. Then they came back and beat Lake Travis 1-0 in 9 innings, and then beat them 7-1. And then they lost against Far San Juan Alamo 5-4. Then beat them 4-2 and 8-5. So it's a scrappy looking baseball team. And I talked to a couple buddies of mine that have coached against these kids and coached some of these kids, and he said the same thing. They're pretty much the exact same team as Westlake. So it's a bend and don't break, and whoever plays the best defense.
Yeah. No, that's like I said, coaches. He sounds confident.
he
does sound confident,
about it, man.
And he is. He's intense, man. But you can tell his team plays with that intensity, rubs off on his team. So we'll get into some more, hopefully, some more updates on Westlake that are positive ones about them moving on. All right, we'll come back and get into the off the record segment of the program. There are a couple of stories we got to address off the record. There's some breaking news also in the sports world that we also have to address. So we'll throw that into off the record, and we'll discuss that as well. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We'll get to the breaking news here in just a second, just so we officially make it an off-the-record segment. I did read in Deadline, gentlemen, that I can't believe this is true, but it is. Will Ferrell is right now scheduled to be the star in a John Madden theatrical feature.
Come on, man.
Directed for Amazon, and he's gonna play John Madden. He's not gonna be in it. They say he's supposed to play John Madden. That's crazy.
See,
Is he gained a lot of weight or something? Did I miss that?
that's the whole thing.
But
Tom.
it doesn't matter. They just wanted a star attached to it.
Yeah, but a likeness maybe. I know makeup and wardrobe can do amazing things and CGI, all kinds of stuff. But really, Will Ferrell, you can find anybody out there that has the likeness. I know overweight actors are not the rage anymore. Like, they don't have a lot of overweight actors, period.
Yeah.
Even overweight actors, they take like Ozempic or something and they get skinny.
Now, if we're talking young John Madden, Will Ferrell's not that far off of that.
No, but John Madden was bigger. Like, he's just a bigger man.
Yeah.
I don't know how big. I know, and Will Ferrell's tall.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's big, like husky.
He might have to.
John Madden
They
was
might
husky.
put one on them suits on him.
Let me go look up young John Madden.
They're gonna whale him.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna put a little husky on
I
him.
saw that movie, man, The Whale. It was depressing, but it was actually pretty good. Depressing, but good. If
I
that
need to
makes any
watch
sense. It's actually, it was depressing, but good. I see he won Best Actor for it, too, which was really, because I think it was more the makeup and the wardrobe than anything. But a young John Madden, maybe Patrick's right, maybe Will Ferrell can play a young John Madden.
I don't know.
Yeah, even a young John Madden looks husky. I'm looking at
That's
it now.
what I'm saying,
He's still
yeah.
huskier. Yeah, you still got to get a little husky. I thought Jesse Plemons. Is Jesse Plemons? Is that the name of him? You seen Love and Death?
No, I
This
haven't
new
seen it.
show lately.
Oh, no.
on Netflix?
I know who
You
you're talking
Jesse
about,
Plemons-
though.
I
2
think he's
mentions
from
for it, and it's a dead on. It's the best fit.
Jesse Plemons is probably, and he's chunky.
But I think the deal is this is supposed to be a comedy.
Okay.
If Will Ferrell's playing him, I don't think they're hiring Will Ferrell to make this a serious movie, and they got Will Ferrell.
Can't be.
No, I think they're going to do this extremely comedy, like slapstick kind of movie.
Well, I don't know if they're not gonna do John Madden any. They're not gonna do.
I doubt they will.
They're not gonna do his legacy any justice, in my opinion. They're gonna do it justice. If they
My
do a
guess is
comedy.
this will be closer to what Showtime was for Jerry Buss
Okay. All
with
right.
John C. Reilly, where
I
it's
feel
like,
you on
look, this is going to be a way more tongue-in-cheek kind of
gotcha.
experience of it, because it's supposed to be talking about the video game, right? It's not about Madden's full life. It's about the video game.
Okay.
So this is kind of like air of it's only focused on one
Which
part
means
of
he's
it.
gonna play older Madden.
He's gonna not
play-
older Madden, because it's still like
He's gonna play older after I'm done coaching Madden. That's
Yeah.
video
but
game
still
Madden.
like 1989 Madden. I think was it when it's like late or maybe early 90s Madden. So it's still not it's Madden that's on the first cover of Madden.
But he's not playing Coach Madden, and Coach Madden is the younger version
Yes.
of Madden, who we said is maybe he can pull that off. He can't pull off older Madden.
No, he's gonna have to put on. Maybe he'll just start eating.
Right? Oh,
Maybe
like I
he
said, the
has
makeup-
started eating.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe like you said, maybe the makeup's really good. I don't know. That's a weird one, but maybe he's trying to branch out. But as you said, if it's gonna be a slapstick comedy, then I get Will Ferrell can definitely pull off the comedic aspect.
Yeah.
Of it. I'm just worried about the likeness of John Madden. How can I take it seriously? It's like when Kevin James played like Sean Payton in that movie.
That was not serious.
That's kind of what I'm picturing, guys.
Yes.
And I don't want to picture that.
Yeah.
Am I right? Don't you have that in your mind?
I definitely have that in my
James
mind.
Playing. And someone said it's not a comedy.
Hey, it's Sean Payton. Like, he does not look anything like Sean Payton.
My guess is this is gonna be like Air was.
Okay, yeah, it's about the making of something like they had a movie about Tetris recently that I watched. So the Air movie.
How was that?
They're having a movie about flaming hot Cheetos or something, right?
Wait, how was
Yeah,
Tetris?
yeah.
They're having a flaming hot Cheeto
Yeah.
movie come out. Tetris was actually pretty good.
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
Okay.
I'd recommend it. It was pretty good. I
Okay.
enjoyed it. It was a fun movie experience.
It was definitely one of my favorite
Yeah.
games to play.
Yeah, and the movie kind of gives you the background on how it became a phenomenon and
Yep.
everything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so see, some people saying it's not a comedy. It better be a comedy. Because how often have we seen Will Ferrell play in dramatic movies? He hasn't made that kind of turn. Some actors have done that. They've made the turn from comedic actor to physical comedian to
Yeah, and Will
dramatic
Ferrell's
actor.
done it.
Tom Hanks has famously done it. People forget Tom Hanks.
Will Ferrell
was
did
bu-
it in several movies.
Tom
He
Hanks
tried
is-
to make that turn, but it didn't really take. Also, what is the dramatic edge of John Madden? Is it just him being like, I don't want to get on a plane? Fly? Like, he didn't have a super dramatic life of that point. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Like, I think it has to be kind of funny. And when I say comedy, I don't mean it's going to be Step Brothers, but I think it's going to be funny wigs, things like that,
What's
where
gon-
it's
what's gonna happen
where
to
it's
them
like
to get-
where you're like, hey, remember the '90s? Weren't they crazy?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna watch it. Like I said, but now I don't really have high hopes for it. But we'll see. I will see if Will Ferrell, Will Ferrell will shock us in his portrayal of John Madden. We'll see. Okay. The breaking news, gentlemen, that came down right when Coach was on with us. The news broke, and we'll dive deeper into it in the 5 o'clock hour. The SEC has settled on a scheduling format for 2024 when Texas and Oklahoma will enter into SEC play. And it's going to be the 8-game format.
Yep.
They decided to remain at 8 league games in 2024 when Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC. There will be no divisions in the SEC, 16 teams and only 8 league game schedules.
And this is considered an interim solution, pledging to continue studying the issue before a final vote ahead of college football expansion in 2026.
Yeah, and that's because I do think the Ross Dellinger conspiracy theory, that it's all about money. And they believe the extra game, the extra 9th game as opposed to the 8-game format, 9-game format, that the extra game is worth $5 million per school, and they would like ESPN to pony up that extra $5 million. And if they're not going to pony up the extra money, why the hell are we going to give them an extra game, an extra SEC game? Nope. And then I think they believe they'll pay for it later on. They can negotiate it later on. But we, the fans, lose out.
We definitely lose out.
Because now you get one main rival, and for Texas,
It
that's
better be.
Oklahoma. No, it's not.
Oh,
better
that's
be.
right.
It'll be
That's
Oklahoma.
right.
That's it.
That's it.
For Texas, the main rival will be Oklahoma. And for A&M, the hope is that the SEC schedulers will just give Texas and Texas A&M, they will somehow put them in the schedule that they will be part of the rotating 7 each year until, what'd you say, 2026?
2026.
So make A&M a part of the rotating 7 every year until 2026.
I like
so
it.
that Texas and Texas A&M can play.
I
If
like
they
it.
don't do that, then this is an epic, tragic fail
100%.
by the SEC.
Oh, yes.
It's like, come on, man.
They
So we got to wait till
absolutely failed on this one.
2026
Yes.
until we see Texas and Texas A&M play again?
And that's probably what Ross Bork is talking about right now. He's like, yeah, man, let's put that off till 2026. We could care less about Texas, so don't put them on our schedule. And it's like, bruh, you need to have Texas on your schedule.
Yeah,
Texas need to have you on their schedule.
Agreed.
Oh,
It'll
you can put it
definitely
on there,
be
but
fun.
only at College Station. Every other year at College Station, we never go there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big discussion about where does the rivalry renew again?
Yeah.
Where do you rekindle it? In Aggieland or in Austin, I believe bragging rights for both sides is it ended in Aggieland, the last one there.
Yep.
So I think they want to start there again.
A&M has said, A&M's AD has said that it will start in College Station when it resumes, if it resumes. And CDC has said, I haven't heard any discussions on that. I don't know what it'll be. So,
Okay, so.
yeah, Aggies acting like Aggies. They've already bought the series resumes banner they're gonna put up. Series resume banner they're gonna put up in
Mission accomplished.
yeah.
For the
Series
We're
resume.
back. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
for Texas A&M. No, I hope they get it together, and I hope they actually make them part of the rotating 7. It's time for Texas and Texas A&M to play again. We'll discuss that in a little bit more depth. We'll probably do it in Raj Around the Day. We got NBA Finals breakdown coming up next segment. We'll preview Miami Heat at Denver Nuggets. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all love this great city of Austin. It is a magnificent city. The aesthetic appeal seems to be unique, and it seems to be bringing people back to the city of Austin. And the aesthetic appeal is thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of our good friends at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. They've been helping shape Austin since 1935, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. You see the labors of their love all over this great city, and iconic, exquisite landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends at Ironworkers Local 42. And right now, they're looking for a way to expand. You can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people right here in Central Texas for a huge project, and you can become a member and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self by simply applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. And the new theme for today is all about the NBA Finals. That's when Patrick takes jam song selections that are supposed to give Harsh and I clues, hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day. And Harsh got it pretty easy. NBA Finals. We know my man Patrick's really excited about it. So all the songs will reference a theme, a storyline, a player in the NBA Finals. And this one's pretty simple. Yeah. All right.
William Smith.
You damn right it is. Welcome
William.
to Miami. Hey, say what you want about Will Smith though, but when he used to make the movies, especially like earlier on in his career, he would make a little jam for the soundtrack on some of his movies too.
Bad Boys.
Men in Black.
Yep.
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild
exactly.
West.
He was, and that was a throwback move because that was some people did like way back in like the '80s and stuff like that. And he would do it. And honestly, we know people consider Will Smith to be kind of corny, but he would do a pretty good job.
And he makes jams.
He
made jams that people will rock him.
And honestly, I say this all the time. Will Smith, he's essentially what The Rock has become to wrestlers. He is that to all rappers. Every rapper from all time now wants to follow the blueprint that he laid out. That when you reinvent yourself and you transform, essentially, because nobody likes old rappers, kind of like old strippers and old running backs. You're geriatric as a rapper once you're like 35. You got to transform, right? You got to become something else. You can't be rapping about the same stuff when you're a grandfather. And most of them are transforming into actors. And that's why you get Ice Cube and Ice-T and hell, man, now basically Common don't even rap no more.
He's just acting.
He just acts.
Yep.
You ever see that? Common
He
just
might
acts.
make a couple guest
He might
appearances.
every now and then, but he just acting now. I'm like, damn, Common, he just acting now. So Common's on that. I mean, a lot of rappers have taken that route now, and I think a lot of wrestlers now have kind of taken that route too. And I think The Rock is their goal. He wasn't the first to do it, but he did it the best.
No.
And that's how Will Smith. Will Smith was the first and the best, though.
I was trying to say
he was first and the best.
I think he was the first real crossover
rapper. There's no doubt.
Rapper.
There was no question.
/ actor /
Yeah.
I mean, he did a little bit of everything. And his name is Willard. You are correct. His name is Willard.
He's a Willard?
He's a Willard.
Wow, I did not know he was a Willard
And he
instead
is
of a
the
William.
second.
He's a Willard.
And he's the second.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Someone said LL Cool J. Yeah, LL Cool J crossed over. I don't know if LL Cool J crossed over first.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But LL Cool J is another one. But I don't know if LL Cool J crossed over first. He might have at some point because LL Cool J was also old school and he did it too. I'll give LL Cool J props because
What was it? Crush Groove. They were in Crush Groove.
yeah, so LL Cool J, it might have done it first. Like I said, I don't know if he did it first, but he did the best in terms of Will Smith.
Yeah.
He did the best. Like I said Rock didn't do it first, and Hulk Hogan was trying to cross over. He remember No Holds Barred, the movie?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Zoo.
when did Ice Cube do it in '91? Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood. I think that was his first one. Yeah, for him.
That's early.
That's early
on.
too. That's
Yeah, 91.
They were pretty early. I guess.
I mean, Ice-T. When was New Jack City?
oh, with Ice-T. Yeah, and
Ice-T
before
probably
that,
was the one. Yeah.
And Ice-T did it.
Colors.
Yeah, he was before that. Yeah.
Colors.
And like I said, I don't know if he did it the best. I don't know if he did it the first, but he definitely did the best. But a lot of rappers have taken that path.
I like it.
Shout out to Willard. Didn't know that till today. Willard.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about the NBA Finals, gentlemen. We'll get to the breaking news. Sorry for those who haven't heard. Breaking news, the SEC has settled on a scheduling format for the time being. And for the time being, they have decided, that they are going to go with the 8-game format right now. Eight-game format there. So we'll get into that. And in Raj Round of the Day, I'll just table what I had for Raj Round of the Day for later, and we'll dive deep into the scheduling format of the SEC and give you all the details of them scheduling for the 2024 season when Texas will join the SEC on an 8-game format instead of the 9-game format. We'll break that all down for you. All right, let's get into the NBA Finals discussion here, gentlemen, start breaking this down. So I know both of you seem to be really confident in the Denver Nuggets' ability to not only win this series, but dominate this series. I think a lot of people are picking Denver in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. I've heard both, and I think I've heard both from you guys too. I'll throw this little stat out there just to kind of show you what a kind of David and Goliath matchup this is between the Miami Heat, an 8 seed, and the Denver Nuggets, which was the best team in the Western Conference. So if you go look at and I got these numbers from DraftKings, so you can take from DraftKings. The Heat at one point could have changed now, but this was yesterday. They were plus 320 to win the NBA Finals. Those were their odds per DraftKings. If they won based on those odds, if they beat Denver in the NBA Finals, it will be the second biggest NBA Finals upset since 1969. Yeah. Do you know what the biggest is? You guys probably remember it. 2004, the LA Lakers. The Pistons were at plus 500 and ended up beating the Lakers.
There we go.
And I remember that one. That was mind blowing. I was like, how the hell? Because Detroit, they were kind of a nondescript. They didn't have any true stars. They had Chauncey Billups
and Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, they were a good team.
Yeah, because they played the Spurs in the finals too.
Yeah, they were a good team. They weren't supposed to beat the Lakers though. Not that Lakers team, right? That was like Lakers close to.
Yeah, that was they had the Wallaces in the front with Rasheed and Ben.
No, they were tough.
But everyone's like, Ben
Hard-nosed.
Wallace can't guard them because he's too short.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Bam Adebayo's got hope.
But Bam ain't going to be guarding Jokic.
He will sometimes.
But you need him to roam, or else Jamal Murray's going to eat you up, and Michael Porter Jr. can get inside. And
the problem is there is no good way to guard Jokic. That's how good he is. That basically.
No, man, you put in Udonis Haslem and you start a fight.
Pretty, yeah, but you got to try
You do that early.
Well, no, because listen, AD was defensively playing at a really high level when Jokic and him faced off. And he actually had some experience versus Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. So the assumption was, man, he'll be able to at least have some success defensively because he's got such a long wingspan. He's such an athletic freak. Jokic had his way with Anthony Davis.
Yes, he did.
And you go look at it, it's crazy because Miami doesn't play Denver much. They only play them like twice a year because they're in different conferences, of course. But, man, Miami's been dominated by Denver.
Yeah.
Denver is 11-3 versus Miami in the last 7 seasons, 9-1 versus Miami since 2018-19 season, and 6-0 versus Miami in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And a little bit of
they have not won there.
No, they've dominated. They really have. They've dominated Miami. And the little bit of sample size that I got this from NBA.com. You go look at the sample size of Bam Adebayo versus Nikola Jokic, just them going at it last 3 years. So you got that 6-0 record that I just mentioned, Denver versus Miami the last 3 years. And you take all the minutes, so 52, they have 44 minutes total of them facing off against each other. We're talking about Jokic and Bam, him as the primary defender on Jokic. And Jokic has, in those 44 minutes, he has 52 points and 25 assists, and he's shooting damn near 58% against Bam as the primary defender. So, Bam's an elite defender.
That's why this goes back to what Patrick said. He is not going to be on him.
Bam's
not.
Bam's an elite defender. We're not talking about Bam, oh man, he struggles versus that. No, Bam's elite as a defender, and those are Jokic's numbers versus Bam. He has shot 58% from the field versus Bam.
Going to destroy him.
It's like I said, I know if they want to play zone, the zone's not going to work versus Jokic.
No,
because you got to put a body on him. Because again, he just can't get too close to the basket, or that percentage is through the roof when he gets that close to the basket. Now, what helps is if Kevin Love, musters up some of that age and is able to go inside and bump with him a little bit, and you're able to have Kevin Love, basically put a body, and then Bam Adebayo is able to help off of Kevin Love, so that when Jokic is turning around and does the move, he's then got to deal with a shot blocking Bam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he can find the other guy, and you're going to have to deal with that as well. But that's something you can try a little bit more. But that's where it goes. Is it Kevin Love that comes in and is a guy that can at least take some minutes guarding Jokic?
Yeah, you're going to have to do that because, like I said, you have to throw the kitchen sink at the guy.
Right.
And really just kind of hope he's off his game. And I went researched because we know that the Miami Heat played more zone than any other team, arguably in NBA history, this past season. They played a ton of it, and they've played a ton of it in the NBA playoffs, 178 more zone defense possessions than any other team, second most for any team in the playoffs in the last 15 years. If you go look at the Denver Nuggets versus zone, man, how about this? They have a 121 offensive rating in the regular season versus zone defense. The best offensive rating in the NBA was 119. So versus zone defense, they have a better offensive rating than the best offensive rating in the NBA, which was the Sacramento Kings. So I don't know if zone's going to work that well against them. I mean, it will at times. You discombobulate them and you throw it out tactically and strategically, but to throw it out like you did as a blanket defense almost versus Boston, they're a higher IQ basketball team than Boston.
Yeah.
And they shoot better. They shoot better. They know how to attack the zone. They know how to make a guy be in the middle to get you out of that zone. And you have guys like a Jamal Murray. And, one name that we never really talk about on this show but deserves a little bit more credit is Michael Porter Jr. Mm-hmm. Michael Porter Jr. is long. He's like KD long, and he has good game, but he's so inconsistent at times. Yeah. That is why people don't put him in there. Don't forget, at one point, people thought he was going to be the number 1 overall draft pick, and the reason why he ended up not being it was because of the fact that he always had back injuries. Mm-hmm. He had a big problem. So we'll see how this goes down, but Michael Porter Jr. is going to be somebody that you would definitely need to keep your eye on, along with the Joker and Jamal Murray.
No, and we're going to have to look at Aaron Gordon playing offense of if he's able to, because that's the guy. If you're able to find someone else to put a body on Jokic, and then Bam basically can help off of Gordon, and Gordon's going to sit in the corner and take those threes. If he's not hitting those threes, it really messes up trying to get that help defender to step back out and get a little bit further out closer to him. So they're going to test him early, I'm sure. Miami is, and go, man, are we able to just find one guy that we want to be taking the shot? Because we know we don't want Jamal Murray to take the shot. Michael Porter Jr. to say he's been playing really well. Yep. Of course, you don't want Jokic to have the ball in his hands at all.
Yeah, because he's a point guard.
Get it out.
And then you go, well, Caldwell Pope, if we leave him open, we can get him hot. And if he gets hot, he goes. So Aaron Gordon's the guy that you want to have to take the shot. But if he starts hitting, oof. But that's where I think you have to kind of lean off of him. And they got to leave him in because he's a really good defender, but offensively, can he step up in this series?
That's a great point. And speaking of him, why they need him so much, he was sitting down with Malika Andrews, a really good interview, and talking with Aaron Gordon about how much of a linchpin he is defensively for them. And he's going to be matched up against Jimmy, playoff Jimmy, a lot of times. Here is Aaron Gordon with Malika Andrews.
You are, Aaron, the defensive anchor of this Denver Nuggets team. And in these postseason, right, we've seen you guard LeBron James. We've seen you take on the defensive assignments of Karl Anthony Towns, of Kevin Durant. And now we have Jimmy Butler. What is it about you in each one of these assignments that makes it so you're the go-to guy?
I guess it's just defensive versatility. Mm-hmm. I guard 1 through 5. I can slide my feet. I can kind of like bang with the bigger forwards. And then just kind of studying the game, understanding what they're trying to get to, their tendencies. Out of everybody that I've guarded, that we've guarded in the playoffs, Jimmy could arguably be the most complete player in terms of just the entire totality of the game. You know what I mean? In transition, in cuts, an offensive rebound, like the in-between game, offensively and then defensively as well. So, it's a challenging matchup, but I'm excited for it. I love it.
Do you go to Michael Malone and say, pick me, I want this, I want the other team's best guy?
No, I think it's kind of just like an unspoken, but I would if I had to, for sure. Like when other teams, like we got great defenders on this team. We got KCP, we got Bruce Brown, a couple other guys. Jeff Green can really guard. And we got guys that can play good defense. But when somebody gets going and somebody's water is going, I take it on myself to try and cut that person's water off.
I'll just say, in the research that I have past 3 years, Jimmy Butler versus Aaron Gordon, very small sample size, of course, because they don't face each other very often in different conferences. Lower points per 100 plays versus Aaron Gordon. If you're talking about Jimmy Butler offensively versus Aaron Gordon defensively, the points per 100 plays drops significantly, and so does effective field goal percentage drops significantly. So Aaron Gordon, just in a little small sample size, he's been pretty effective versus Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, as he pointed out, and I love that compliment, though. He's faced LeBron, not an aging LeBron, all right, LeBron, and an injured LeBron, too, we learned later on, right? LeBron was dealing with an injury, too. He's faced some really elite offensive players in these playoffs, and he's saying, now, Jimmy presents you with as many problems for a defender as any player in the NBA right now.
No doubt about it. I mean, because he's so versatile. As you were saying, He can play he can score from the outside, hit you at three. He can get inside the lane and get to the bucket. He can hit you with the mid-range. He gets rebounds. He can assist. He gets steals. I believe I saw a stat where he's only the 5th person in NBA history to average 25 points and 3 steals in games.
He's got 10 more steals than any other player in the playoffs.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying.
And
like he does so much.
Yeah, and he leads the playoff in deflection. So he does way more than just score.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's a total player in the game.
But this is where it comes to is we just had a texter ask if Tyler Hero comes back in Game 3, does that really help? And you go, it does some.
Well, they said I just saw today it's Game 2, and it's going to be probably Sunday. He's coming back
Okay, so
Sunday.
They need to rush him back.
But this is the thing is the reality of how Miami has to play this Denver team is the same way the Lakers had to play them, which is you have to hold them to roughly around under 105. Like 105 to 110 is kind of where the max you can allow Denver to score. And that's when it goes, yeah, you can try and outscore them, but if you try and run up and down and score with the best offensive team, you're normally going to come out on the bottom end. And you're going to come out on the losing end, and it's going to be 135 to 128. And, man, you put up 128 and you still lost. So Tyler Hero helps because he helps you hit those big threes to keep you in the game. But really, defensively, what you can do to slow down Jamal Murray, slow down Jokic, make the rest of the supporting cast continue to put up bigger numbers and rely on the weaker links to push their offense, and it gets them down to 105, and then you can put up 110 and win the game. That's kind of where you need to be at. And so Tyler Hero helps because it's not going to hurt you, but at the same part, it doesn't matter. You're not going to outscore this Denver team to win the series. You may do it in the game. You're not going to do it to win the series because you're playing the best offense in the league.
And to that point about the best offense, I'll give you a stat. Mind-blowing. If you're just looking at points per 100 possessions in the regular season, the Nuggets were at 116.8 first round. They went to 117.2. Second round, 120.2. And then the conference finals, they were at 122.3. They've gotten better as an offense each round of the playoffs. That's crazy. And it's because Jamal Murray has come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's playing like an all-NBA player. And I remember that stat we gave that I gave you guys earlier this year about, and it really is kind of it's a weird stat because it's more about how injured some of the stars have been for Denver, but that Jokic has not played with a player who is all NBA, all star, or all defense. Like none of his teammates have gotten those accolades. He's the only MVP that has never had a teammate selected to all-star, all-NBA, or all-defense. Yeah. But that's because Jamal Murray's been hurt.
Yep, he hadn't been able to play a whole season.
He'd been 2 all-NBA players playing together. Yep. And that's kind of the weird distinction is they are a different team right now because they do have 2 true superstars, not just Jokic. They have Murray too.
And it's worth noting, I know the Lakers aren't the best team in the league. We can't say that, but they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. For them to up it against a really good defensive team in the Lakers is impressive.
And this is I think there's one hope for Miami to stay in this series.
Let me hear it.
It's a 3-point shot, man.
Oh yeah.
And they have been. I'll give you these stats real quick before we get into this Jokic conversation. So the Miami Heat are shooting 39% from 3-point range in the playoffs. But against Boston, that number was at over 43% as a team from 3-point range. Versus the Bucks, it was at 45% from 3-point range. They shot 34.4% from 3-point range in the regular season. Good for 27th in the NBA. And now they're shooting 39%. That is the biggest jump from regular season to playoffs in 3-point shooting in NBA history. Miami hit 58% of their wide-open threes in the Eastern Conference Finals. That is the best in the NBA in a playoff series in the last 10 years. 8 of their 10 players in rotation were hitting 35% or better from 3-point range in the playoffs. These numbers are silly. I mean, they really. I don't even. Like I said, and I don't know if they were sustainable or not. Remember in that series versus Boston in the conference finals. I remember this stat because I wrote it down because it was so crazy. Miami took like 92 threes. If you go look at those first 3 games, they took 92 threes and hit 47.8% of them. Only 13 teams had ever converted over 50% of their threes on at least 20 attempts in a conference finals game, and they did it twice.
See, and that's the other part of it too.
They did it twice.
I think that those numbers are great, and they
I
tell
don't know
the
if that's
story for
sustainable.
them. That's what I was just
But
about
if
to
it
say.
is, that's how they stay in the game.
I want to see what their legs look like being in Denver. That's going to be the other part for me. You know, we've talked about it. We haven't really leaned on the altitude and really dove into some of the numbers like some other people will. But the thing about it is when you look at that and you start looking at yourself and how you are reacting to it, you said it earlier. You got there 2 days early. You didn't get there a week and a half early where you could be there and get acclimated. You're still trying to figure out how you're going to be able to move around from there. But here's the other thing. Your legs get heavy in those situations. You play big minutes, it's going to hurt you. You are not going to be able to sustain that. I don't believe we'll see a shooting performance like that. If we do, I apologize to you. But I know that it's going to be very difficult for them to keep up the pace too. Because we know Miami plays at they play intense defense as well. So we're going to see how they adjust to how Denver plays their defense, because Denver's defense is pretty doggone good too.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, because, he just said it in Eric Gordon, with Bruce Brown and KCP can also guard out on that perimeter and help you out. But I agree with you.
Close out.
It's not just hitting the threes, it's guarding the threes.
Yep.
That if you're able to slow down Denver, who's been shooting at a huge pace, and slow down their guys at three-pointers as well, then all of a sudden that sways even more. So even if you're only shooting 42%, which is a really good percentage, but you're not shooting 50, you're shooting 42, but you hold them to 25, 26%, then now that's a bigger swing. Those percentages just need to have difference. Because if you shoot 50 and they shoot 50, you shoot all day and it's just, we're in the game, and you beat them everywhere else. You need to be able to have that swing on both sides.
That's a great point. I agree. All right, so we're up against it. So when we come back, I want to get into a conversation about Nikola Jokic too. We'll listen to some sound from Big Shot Bob Robert Horry, and it'll get us into a conversation about the all-time greatest big men, the GOATs among the big men in NBA history. But also we'll address the breaking news. The SEC has settled on an 8-game schedule format for the 2024 season when Texas and Oklahoma will go to the SEC. We'll discuss that and give you details about it. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. I got to tell you, if you are out there right now looking for a new car, you're going through the painful process of looking for a new car, the stress of it all, trying to find the perfect car for you and your family, trying to find the perfect car that fits your budget, the right price and the right payment. This can be a really stressful and frustrating process. Well, what you need to do is reach out to our friends over at Apple Leasing, because they want to be your friends too. And trust me, you need friends like Apple Leasing, because they can walk you through every step of the process, and they can make sure you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car you want. That's what Apple Leasing is all about, and that's why they've been doing business here in Austin for almost 40 years, because they do it the right way. They take care of their customers. Hey, their motto is, they want to make friends and let the car business take care of itself. And all it takes for you is one phone call to your friends at Apple Leasing, or hit up their website at appleleasing.com, or give them a call, 512-346-9977, and then you'll see what that Apple Leasing magic is all about. Somebody who knows about that Apple Leasing magic is my man, Mike Harsh.
That's right. You can lease any make, any model. I told them what we were looking for, and not only have I had one car, 2 cars, I'm like LeBron. I got 3 cars out there. We've been able to get that going, and that is how we have been doing it with Apple Leasing. They make everything so easy, and you know as well as I do, you want to go with people that make you feel comfortable about buying this car. I know a lot of people have opportunities, and you got so many people to choose from. Why not do an Apple Leasing lease? It's so easy. You can call over there today, 512-346-9977, and you can ask to speak to Jeff Holly, or you can talk to my man Chris Andre, and they can walk you through the process. It makes it so easy, and I've never been more comfortable. I've always had a problem with should I lease, should I buy? They make the decision easy for you, and they make it all happen right there. Go to appleleasing.com today and find out as much as you want to about it. It will work out for you. I promise you that. I told you before, I've done it 3 times, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. He's always talking about how he wants to lease cars to you and your kids. My kids are going to get a car from Apple Leasing. I can guarantee you that. appleleasing.com. Go to appleleasing.com.
All right, welcome back to Rod's Rant of the Day here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, now first I want to finish up our conversation about the NBA Finals. So I got a Nikola Jokic take that we'll get into, and then we'll dive into the SEC 8-game schedule format. If we can't finish it all, then next segment we'll just continue this conversation about the SEC schedule if we don't get to it here, because this Nikola Jokic conversation may be a little lengthy. So I was listening to Showtime Basketball podcast, and on the podcast there was Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob, played for Rockets, played for the Spurs, played for the Lakers. He got into a conversation discussing the all-time greatest big men he played with. And I'll let Robert Horry tell you the rest, but it got me to thinking, and I'll tell you what it got me to thinking about after the audio. Here's Robert Horry.
All the other teams I played for, the one common denominator was great big men. You know, think about Shaq, Tim Duncan. And if you said right now, name the top 5 big men, I played with 3 of them.
Yeah. Who's who? You play with 3 of them.
Well, Dream's
Talk
number
your
1
shit.
by
Yeah,
far.
okay.
We don't like to talk. Nobody wants to talk about. I think you have these guys who are quiet. Think about it. Dream, he's a really quiet guy. You can't get him to do much, to say much. So we kind of veer away from him. We don't talk about him. But to me, if you look at what he put together, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in one season, all-time leading shot blocker, those things that you look at his history and what he's done for the game and how he started the game. This dude didn't play basketball growing up. Went to U of H where they went. You think about it, we all went to college where they're going to teach you. U of H, they just rolled the ball out there and he went to work. And so I think what his body of work was just incredible, and he's just a good dude too, man. That's what you have to think about, a good dude.
And people don't understand. You played with all of them, so your opinion is valid. You've been on the court with all of them. One with all of them. So you got to respect that.
All right, I did not do this to throw it into Patrick's face.
Yeah,
you know.
Was that
Steven Jackson? Yes, it
That's
was
who I
Steven
thought
Jackson.
it was.
Yeah, it was what, that All About Smoke? Or
Oh,
it was Matt
okay.
Barnes
It
and
was
Steven Jackson.
okay. That's
Yeah,
what I thought it
the
was.
back part of it was Steven Jackson, who also, didn't you say he's got some bad?
So he said
Bad
now,
about
I
the
saw
Spurs.
recently that he has now said that he has squashed it.
Oh, he's not a Spurs hater anymore.
So
he was
but he just-
definitely at the top of the list of the Spurs haters.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that. I
no,
remember that.
he hated Pop.
He
thought
hated
Pop.
Pop.
He thought Pop should have given him a max deal, or not a big contract, because he thought he was a very big part, which he was a big part. He thought he was bigger than Tony Amanu.
No.
He thought he was a
Okay.
better player than Tony Amanu. He thought he should have been the number 2 guy on that team.
All right, Steven.
That's what it was. And so he didn't like Pop's coaching style. He didn't like any of that.
He's a Steven now.
I know. Come on. I mean, he was a good player, but you're not
No,
in the
he also
Holy
didn't want
Trinity.
he also didn't want to be coached.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But- and that's not what's gonna work on the Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs, everybody get coached.
Yeah,
Tim
but
Duncan got coached. On
I
the
think
Spurs.
so there was a lot of how he was coached when he was there, and then the fact that when they let him go, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to pay you that." He's like, "What? I helped y'all win a ring, and y'all just going to let me go?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's what we do here."
Yes, what the Spurs do, man. They keep it moving. But I just wanted to bring up, obviously we can get into the big man GOAT discussion. Robert Horry's opinion is Robert Horry's opinion, but I do think the Dream is in that conversation,
Definitely.
no doubt. But it got me thinking because people are having the big man conversation now because of Nikola Jokic. He's such an extraordinary talent for his size and playing center for the Nuggets. People call him kind of a point center. Brand new term coming out because of Nikola Jokic. But when people start having the conversation like they just did on this podcast about all-time great big men, Nikola Jokic's name in that conversation has not really penetrated just yet. And I think it's about that time. Now, it may just be we're waiting on him to win a title, and then the narrative will shift. But I'll give you some numbers, gentlemen, to honestly display, or at least argue the point that Nikola Jokic probably should already be in some of these conversations. Now, we know he's a back-to-back MVP winner, which already puts him in rarefied air. But how about when it counts, right? The playoffs is what it's all about because it's all about winning championships. And if he wins the championship this year, obviously these numbers may start to come to the forefront. But how about this? If you look at players with at least 2,000 career playoff minutes, all right? Players with at least 2,000 career playoff minutes, Jokic ranks 13th among that group in both assists per game and rebounds per game. 7 assists per game and 12 rebounds per game. No other player is even in the top 30 in both of those stats.
No other player.
Larry Bird is the closest. He's 22nd in assists and 32nd in points. And if you're saying, it's all about scoring points, well, Jokic is 6th in points per game among that group for good measure because he's scoring 27 points per game. Bill Simmons has what he likes to call his 42 club. It's a pretty simple formula. The 42 club is basically players take their assists, rebounds, and points, and you add them all up. And if that total comes to more than 42, then you're talking about an all-time elite player, a great player. Jokic in his 42 club, Jokic is second in playoff sums from his 42 club, just adding together points, assists, and rebounds. Wilt Chamberlain is first. Wilt Chamberlain's at 51.5. Jokic is at 46.5. Bill Russell and MJ, respectively, are third and fourth. They're at 45.7. MJ's at 45.6. And LeBron's at 44.7. That's your top 5.
Yeah.
elite, rarefied air, right? I'll give you some more. It ain't over. Among players with at least 1,000 career playoff shot attempts, Jokic ranks second in effective field goal percentage with 57%. Dwight Howard's ahead of him. If you look at true shooting percentage, he is at 61% true shooting percentage. That is only behind Kevin McHale and Kawhi Leonard. So he's third in true shooting percentage. If you look at just 2-point percentage, he's fifth in 2-point percentage, and he is second in 3-point percentage. Second
in 3-point percentage.
Second. He is a career 41% 3-point shooter in the playoffs.
And think about how them ugly shots that he's taken, and he's knocked them down.
Klay Thompson, Ray Allen, Steph Curry are about 1 percentage point behind him. It's freakish. So let's go to clutch. Talk about a clutch, right? Clutch gene. In clutch situations, as a clutch shooter, and we're talking about the score within 3 points in the last 3 minutes of a playoff game, he is 15 of 32. That would be 47%. That would be tied for fourth all-time among the 45 players who have at least 30 such attempts in a playoff game since 1996. So pretty damn clutch. How about overall plus-minus, box plus-minus? All right, career playoff, box plus-minus, another overall kind of, expansive stat. Michael Jordan is at 8.8. Nikola Jokic at 8.1. That's 1 and 2. LeBron James is third, 7.5. And Steph Curry is fourth at 6.4. Ahead of KD and Magic Johnson. Player efficiency rating, PER, which is the all-encompassing measurement of a player's overall value. Career playoff leaders in player efficiency rating, Michael Jordan is second behind Nikola Jokic at 28.9. Michael Jordan is at 28.6. LeBron's at 27.9, third, though.
Yeah.
So no matter what metric you're looking at, and by the way, he's one of the freakier players. Most players' PER actually drops from the regular season to the postseason because you're playing against better overall talent and it's a higher competition level, period. He's one of those freaks that actually has a higher player efficiency rating in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. Luka's like this too. Giannis is one of these guys. These are freaks where it's like they actually take their game to a higher level in the playoffs, and there are a few all-time greats who do it, and Jokic is also one of those freaks too. So no matter which way you look at it, he is a special kind of freak.
Yeah.
And he's going to win a championship this year. I'm pretty sure of it, even though I think I'm rooting for Jimmy. And just because to try to keep balance on the show, both you guys are picking Denver in a sweep. I guess I got to be a little more on the side of the Heat. But there is no doubt, man, Jokic, it's about time for him to get his flowers. And we are disrespecting that man because we're not talking enough about his greatness. And we will once he wins a title.
Well, and that's the other part of it, too. When you start looking at some of these names, a name that I would expect to be in there a lot more would be Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he's not even in there as the
not
big man.
Yet.
As a guy who won a championship, won multiple MVPs. He's another guy that I think gets underlooked as well. But what Joker's been able to do, the unorthodox style, the silence that in which he plays with, the unselfishness, I think is something that everybody's been looking at. But then you bring out those numbers and those stats, it's kind of like this dude is balling. Like averaging a triple-double during the playoffs.
We're talking about GOAT stuff.
Yes, during the season.
And that's the thing is, I right now he is on the path to doing it. However, he's halfway on the path because he's got accolades. He's got there. The thing is, can you keep it up for a decade? Can you put up these numbers for 10 years? Can you play into your second decade of a career? Can you play into your 30s at this level of play? And how many rings can you win? Can you be a champion? Yeah. So how many wins do you have? What's your win percentage overall?
Yeah.
Because there's guys like Steve Nash, 2-time MVP, at his peak, one of the best players in NBA history. But it took him a while to get there, and then it tapered off pretty quickly when the injury set in. So there's really like a 5-6 year span where Steve Nash is in the conversation of one of the best guards in NBA history. But overall, you go, well, look at these, like, there's other guys who've had 15-year careers of greatness.
Yep.
So he can't be in that same group because he just didn't have that, and he didn't have the wins. Karl Malone is up on the all-time scoring list. He's an all-time great in a lot of ways. Never won a ring, so he's not in these conversations.
All-time creep, too, but you're right.
All-time dirtbag.
All-time dirtbag. No, you're right. That's a good point about that. I love your Steve Nash.
But that's what I'm saying is there's guys like that who
Yeah.
had really big peaks, like Steve Nash, who just they fade away. And with Jokic, you never know a body type like Jokic. All right, is he going to continue to work harder to keep the weight off because it's going to get more and more painful? We saw with Tim Duncan that he worked harder during the offseason later in his career because he was like, I'm in a lot of pain. And the more I can keep weight off and keep stuff like that, then I can continue to play at the level I want to play at. I think Jokic has every bit of that in him. He's already lost some weight.
Yeah.
So the question is, can he continue that and stay healthy and stay on the court? And if he does that, then, okay, well, now he's clearly in that conversation. Because you look at Akeem, who a lot of people put third out of those three guys, and he was a 12-time All-Star. And he came in the league and it was rocking from day one.
He has some longevity.
And then his stats dropped off in those last 2 or 3 years where he was hurt, and then he went to Toronto.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
longevity's hard for a big man.
And your stats will drop off a little bit. Your averages will drop off because those last couple of years you're trying to do it, but you're just not the same player anymore. So there's that end of it where it'll taper off. But with the championships and the longevity, your case is sealed.
No, I agree with you on that. I love that Steve Nash point you brought up. That's probably if you're a Jokic, that's what you don't want to be. You want you like the accolades, individual, but you like the team to be able to maximize your potential in that window and win a title or two. Like that's why the Bucks and Giannis, at least they were. If Giannis does not become that guy,
yes.
At least they maximized his window though and got a title out of it.
Yeah,
never did that with Nash.
Hoping for.
No,
they
and
never did.
And
never
Giannis,
did it with Nash.
And Giannis and Jokic and Nash all the same thing, where it took them a few years to get going because they all weren't the top picks. Of course, Jokic's second round pick.
Yep.
But none of those guys were picked out of college to be the guy. So it takes them a little while to find their footing, find the NBA. And so they don't have that thing that Tim did and Akeem did and Shaq did, which was year one, they're an all-star. Like year one, they are stars in the league.
Yeah.
And those guys didn't have that. So they've got a different part of that longevity where their clock started later than everybody else's clock started. And they still have to kind of get those same accolades.
No, you ain't no kinda. You got to. I mean,
but Jokic is only 28 years old.
Yeah.
So to say, can he go to 35 as a big man? If he continues to wait, that's not unbelievable that he could still play at a high level to 33, 34, 35.
And the Nuggets built this in a way that
goes
is
back to the big man.
somewhat sustainable. Because they didn't build it in the kind of new age way of acquiring a lot of star talent via free agency, building a superstar team. It was more an organic build, which gives them more sustainability over time. So the next 4 years are going to be crucial for Jokic and his legacy. Because I think that's when they're going to win. They're going to win multiple titles. It's going to be in the next 4 years. It's got to start this year.
And the other part of it is he's got to have a healthy Jamal Murray with him.
Amen.
Or whoever else they put in. Because there may be a part in 4 years, 4 years.
When he goes somewhere else, they got to get another guy to fill
they
that role.
They have to have a guy to be that guy, the Batman and Robin that you've been talking about, the Batman versus Superman type of deal. Don't pull on the cape. Well, this is an opportunity where you're going to have to find a guy if you're not going to give that max contract or the big numbers to Jamal Murray, even though I don't think you really have to, do you? Because he hadn't made a first-team All-Pro. It's not
going to be – he'll still get paid, but he won't be –
it won't get the max.
Yeah, he ain't making Dame Lillard money.
Type stuff. Yeah. No, that's a good point. All right, we come back. We'll talk about the SEC and the epic fail of the 8-game format. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to the Ball Don't Lie. To Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is the new Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick takes certain songs, and based on those selections, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day. And Harge got it pretty easy this time. It's all about the NBA Finals. Every song is referencing or talking about a storyline, a theme, a player in these NBA Finals. What did I hear? What did I hear earlier?
I mean, this song's technically about the Denver Nuggets. This song's called Jamal to the Joker.
That's what I thought you said Jamal. So it's actually about the Denver Nuggets.
Yes, this came out, I think, like a month or two ago.
Okay.
But when I was looking for songs today, I was like, oh, this has got a good groove to it.
That is. So even before this season, they made a song about Denver Nuggets?
No. They made this song like a month ago.
Oh, they
so
just
So going into the playoffs.
How about say they really were calling their shot? They knew they were going to be pretty damn good. They made a song. Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, they're feeling really good about the Denver Nuggets, yeah. Because Denver Nuggets this is their first time going to the NBA Finals.
Yes,
right?
Ever.
So, yeah, first time for them, and they're really excited about it. Texas, really excited, and so is Oklahoma about heading to the SEC. But not really excited about this scheduling format, gentlemen. We'll continue this conversation, of course, going into the 6 o'clock when we go behind the burnt orange curtain, talk about Dylan Mitchell returning. We'll hear from CDC on Paul Feinbaum, talk Texas baseball, previewing their matchup versus Louisiana tomorrow. But this is the breaking news, gentlemen. 2024 scheduling format for SEC football has been settled. It will be an 8-league game schedule. And that will be 16 teams, but only no divisions, only 8 league games. Those are the specifics. But you said, Harge, that this is a temporary arrangement until they can come up with a more permanent solution or option.
2026 is when they think it will be changed again because of the simple fact of the playoffs. College football playoffs will be in effect as well. So you sit here and you look at that and you go, all right, what's next? What can they do? And I think this entire setup is a failure. I don't know why they wouldn't do it already. Why don't you put this in place already where you can already set up the rivalries, you can have everything moving forward? Are they looking for more expansion? Is there going to be something else that's going to be on the horizon again, probably?
There's been talk of that from the Big Ten side.
Right. So there may be something else that is in there. But looking at the SEC, how many more teams can you add up in there?
Remember the ACC, there's some talk that some of those members are unhappy, but they would like an uneven revenue sharing because they think schools like Florida State and Clemson have been carrying that conference.
Very much so.
We know the Pac-12 is imploding as we speak. That's a good point. Whatever exploding noise you want to make. But honestly, because I'm with you, I don't see any point in terms of the actual product upgrade. Like, this is not helping upgrade the product. The whole point of Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC was the biggest, baddest, most impressive college football conference in history of college football. And they're all going to play each other, and that was going to settle all of the talk about where the best college football is played and who are the best college football teams.
I agree.
And now this move, I'm with you, it doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of improving the product, which means it's about money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to go with the Ross Dellinger conspiracy theory that he said an extra game. And for those who don't know about the 8-game model, basically means 1-7, which means you'll play one opponent annually as your rival, and you will rotate 7 other opponents. The 3-6 model, which is obviously you can hear Harge and I and Patrick prefer, is the model of 3 annual opponents you play every year, which are your rivals.
Yep.
And then you would rotate 6 other opponents within the SEC every year. They decided to go for now with the 8-game format. And like I said, Ross Dellinger, he hypothesizes that extra game is worth $5 million a year per school. And if that's the case, why give the broadcast network an extra game worth that much, since it's an SEC game, without having them compensate the SEC for that game? So maybe the temporary solution we're talking about here isn't permanent until they can negotiate extra money.
Correct.
For that extra game. And then, like you said, 2026, they go, hey, our contract has been upgraded, and now we're going to go to a 9-game schedule.
Yeah, and the other part about it is, too,
9-game format. Sorry.
And there's 16 teams in this conference. 16 teams in this conference. Are they thinking it's going to be 8 and that's the balance of it? And that's why there's 8 on this side, 8 on this side. Let's go out there. But there's no sides. There's no
divisions.
There's no divisions.
No.
So why are we doing this in this process? If you want to change it again later on, then do it that way. But give us the 9 now. And see what it looks like.
That's a good point. Why not? If you're going with temporary solution, why not give us the 9 now, and then you can go back to the 8,
and you can flip it back if you need to.
But you know the answer
because it's about money.
No, it's about money, and it's about Nick Saban, who don't want to play hard teams. He wants more gimme games.
That's
what they've wanted for the past 10 years.
They're
getting 2 teams into the college football playoffs with 4 teams consistently playing 2 or 3 patsy games a year. Why would you change a formula that works if it gets you into the games you want?
Yep.
And if Nick Saban wants it and Kirby Smart wants it, then they can convince everybody else, because they just walk in there and go, well, do you want to hurt the SEC? You want to hurt the brand? Because if we're not in the playoffs with 2 teams, we're not the big brand. If you want the Big Ten to take us over because they're playing a lighter schedule, no, we got to stay strong and just play patsies and play easy teams That's all. I mean, that's a lot of it. I think money is part of it, and it helps sell it, that you can go to the smaller teams and go, hey, man, you do this, and then it'll get you more money later. So we're playing the long game. And then you go to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and you go, hey, do you want an easier road to the championship game? They go, yes, of course I do. I want more wins every year because I make more money if the more games we win. And the ADs know that's true, and the coaches know that's true.
And what they'll say is, when people argue, well, you put cupcakes on your schedule instead of playing a true SEC schedule where you're playing the toughest opponents in the country, and they'll say, well, the SEC schedule is the toughest in the country, so it doesn't matter.
That's what they've been saying for 10 years.
If we have an extra cupcake, we deserve an extra cupcake game.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying for 10 years. We just used to make fun of it when it wasn't us, and now we're going into it, we're like, you're making us look bad.
Well, I do think it'll happen at one point, but it's now for other reasons. There's a different motive.
I think it'll happen when the college ball playoffs inevitably make the regular season a little bit less impactful, and they'll have to add in a little bit more to spice up some of this. Because when it goes to 16 games and they're getting 5 teams in, and they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. There's a 2-loss team that gets in. They'll be like, oh, we kind of got – because now – you can lose 2 and still make it.
I mean, they're going to 12 in 2 years? Were we 2 years away from the expansion of the playoff?
2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And 1 year away from Texas joining it. So it's only going to be 1 year that they're going with this schedule for 2024, and then, boom, there you are again. Why?
And the SEC bias that Patrick mentioned, you're going to have that anyway. Yeah. The SEC's got half the damn teams that are hosting regionals are from the SEC. Yep. The SEC's got to get the benefit of the doubt most of the time anyway. I agree. They want more of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Do billionaires want more money?
Yes.
Does Nick Saban want to crush every team under his boot?
Yes. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, that makes more sense. All right, we'll come back. We'll discuss some more of that as well. We'll hear from CDC Chris Del Conte on Paul Feinbaum, discuss Dylan Mitchell returning to the 40 acres, and Texas baseball versus Louisiana. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday. That's when Patrick plays songs and selections that's supposed to lead us to the new theme of the day via clues that Harj and I are supposed to gather. And this one is pretty simple, even though Tyler Hero is not playing in the NBA Finals.
Well, they're holding out for a hero.
They holding out. They holding out for Sunday because they need that hero.
Holding out for, yeah, he's nice. There is speculation that he may join them for Game 2, but definitely for Game 3. I heard that Tyler Hero will definitely be ready for a Game 3. It is remarkable that the Miami Heat are shooting 39% from three-point range and have shot the damn near 44% from three-point range versus Boston, 45% from three-point range versus the Bucks without Tyler Hero, who was one of their most prolific three-point shooters. So it's amazing what they've done without Tyler Hero. They get Tyler Hero back. We don't know if they're going to put him in the starting lineup. I think he might come off the bench because they don't want to disrupt the flow of what they got going right now. Because right now the Miami Heat definitely a team right now that's kind of feeling it after reaching the NBA Finals as an 8 seed. We'll talk more about that, of course. Give you some picks as we get out of here. We broke that down earlier in the show. But we'll let you know a little bit more about the NBA Finals matchup coming up and what's on tap. All right.
I want to give a shout out to Chan real quick. Chan is listening to us from North Africa. He's in Morocco.
Wow.
And he has hit us up. That is awesome.
My man, Chan.
What up, Chan? What
Shout
up,
out,
buddy?
Baby. North Africa.
North Africa.
Man, shout out that. I assume he's on business.
I'm sure he's on chilling. Let's go chill.
He might
in
be
Morocco.
chilling. He might be on vacation. Let us know, Chan. Vacation or business if you're out there in Morocco. We appreciate you listening, though.
Or
Chan
vacation business. You know what I'm
it
saying?
might be a little bit of both.
Yeah, let's have a little fun
Chan
out here.
likes to mix business and pleasure. I know this about my man Chan. I know that. All right, gentlemen, let's get back to this SEC schedule conversation. Yes, we'll talk about Dylan Mitchell. We'll also get into CDC's comments on Paul Feinbaum, and we'll talk Texas baseball, preview a little bit of that, their matchup versus Louisiana. Chan, want to know the movie, the theme of the movie that we're talking about today?
Footloose. Well, the movie what's that song was from?
Yeah, the movie. Oh, yeah, from that song. That's from Footloose. Yes. Sorry, from the actual soundtrack, but that's for Midweek Movie Music, which was yesterday, which was actually pretty good. Undercover Brother.
Undercover
Shout
Brother.
out. And today, the new theme, of course, is about the NBA Finals. All right. Let's get into this SEC schedule debate, gentlemen. I'll get back to it. The news broke earlier today that the SEC has scheduled for now. They have settled on an 8-game schedule format. The 8-game schedule format is pretty simple. One annual opponent, or at least your rival, I should say. You'll have one rival game every year that you'll play, and you have 7 rotating opponents every year. So the assumption is that Texas and Oklahoma will be the one rival game Texas is going to play each year, and they're going to rotate, 7 opponents. We don't know who those are going to be. I'm going to make my Black Storms prediction already that A&M will be a part of the 7 teams they're rotating, because the SEC will lose a lot of face if they bring Texas back into the SEC in 2024 and don't rekindle the Texas A&M rivalry immediately. Now, we know if they go to the 3-6 format, then they'll play Texas A&M every year based on the 3 rivalry opponents they play every year, and then they'll rotate 6 opponents. But for now, since they're in the 1-7-8 game format, you're going to play Oklahoma as your main rival. I put money on it that Texas A&M will be one of the 7 rotating opponents for Texas. If not, then I will indeed, be critical, highly critical of the leadership of the SEC that they did all of this to bring Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC and then try to avoid the actual rivalry between Texas and Texas A&M. And I can't think of a reason why they would try to avoid that rivalry.
Right.
Like, even A&M wants the rivalry back.
Yes.
A&M, from their side, they want it too. It's good for them too. It's good for everybody.
It's great for everybody.
You'll see it. It just won't be part of the annual rivalries. You may not see it in 2025. You may just see it in 2024. You may not see it in 2025. And then we'll see what happens with the schedule in 2026 when they decide to, kind of
we got to
readdress the issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta adjust our scheduling because we didn't get it right the first time. Duh. I mean, why are we even doing this? This is the frustrating part about it, because the move for the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners was to enhance the product, as you've been talking about, Rod. This was supposed to be the end-all, be-all. There's no divisions. They're not breaking it out. And I know our man Chad Hastings was talking about the quads at one point, about how it was going to be broken up in different sectors.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's not even being that. And then you put it in a halfway type of situation where you're going to play FCS schools, more than likely, to –
At least one game.
Yeah, at least. And now you're putting it in a position to where it's like, okay, this is going to help me get into a bowl game. Like, what are we doing? Like, I thought this was supposed to be the elite of the elites. Why is it that we're now trying to, I don't know, search for that model that was actually given to you? We talked about it before. We talked about it yesterday, the Arkansas, the Oklahoma, and the Texas A&M rivalry, where you're having those built-in type of situations where you can just adjust to all of it afterwards. Now we're sitting here, and this is the biggest talking point because nobody is excited about this.
No fans are.
None.
But
no one in Texas.
Coaches and athletic directors.
No
maybe.
one in Texas. I guarantee you there's plenty of people at SEC that are thrilled that they do not have to play certain teams every year because they are not built like that.
Alabama apparently doesn't want to play the 3 games.
Yeah. So that's the thing
schedule.
I think in Texas, because we're raised that way. We were brought up that way of, hey, man, these are rivals. This is what matters. If you win the OU game, you win the season. If you win this, you win the season. I think that's more built in to where those guys in the last 5-10 years haven't been brought up that way, and that's not what they've preached to them. I also throw in, this is something the Tech is going to have to get used to, that you wanted to go to the bigger pond. You were the big fish in the smaller pond. Not small pond, but smaller pond in the Big 12. You and Oklahoma ran it. You were walking into a place you do no longer run. And you're going to have to get used to people voting against you because of who you are. And now we had that before, but we could just outrule everybody and go, hey, who's making all the money? All right, shut up and do what we tell you. And now you're walking to the SEC, and they go, wait, let me count the rings? Count the rings. And Texas is going to have to get used to that for a little while until they kind of get ingratiated and then everything good. And then we'll all make fun of the Aggies and we'll have a good time. But it's going to take a few years where they're going to do things and go, we don't care what you think.
No, I agree with that. It is easier for Texas because organically Texas has 3 rivals in this situation. They have Arkansas, they have A&M, and they have Oklahoma. So it fits. It doesn't fit with everybody, to Patrick's point. And I agree with you, too. The SEC, they make decisions that are best, or at least for the best overall good of the SEC. Like, what's best for the SEC, not what's best for individual teams in the SEC. We see that during bowl season a lot. But to me, it's still, I think, it's overall better for the SEC to have the 3-6 format as opposed to the 1-7 format, just because even if you are manufacturing rivalries or bringing back old rivalries or starting new rivalries, whatever, it's still good. Rivalries are good.
Right.
Rivalries are good for sports. They're good for football.
Great for sports.
And hell, the Aggies have been looking for a rival. They don't have one. So this situation, I don't know who the rival is going to be for the Aggies in this 1-7 format. Who is going to be LSU?
That would be
LSU doesn't want to be the rival. Is it Arkansas?
I saw somebody say Arkansas before, but I would think it would be LSU logistically. I would think, because it's a lot closer, and it's that border state, it's that area. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
For A&M, it's a little tough. But A&M is they like this because they want rivals. They don't have one. So they need to be fixed up, if you will, on a rival. They need somebody to set them up on a rival with a rival, because right now they don't have one. They need a matchmaker. And the SEC can work as a matchmaker for A&M to almost help build them a rival that they don't really have naturally. But that's why, like I said, the 3-6 model works so much better in my opinion, because, yes, you can bring back the natural rivalries. You can bring back the old rivalries. You can come up with new rivalries. And it gives you multiple options. If that other rivalry don't work out and it just ain't sexy enough and the fans just aren't into it, okay, you got 2 more to work out. You know what I mean? Like, now you got one rival. If that don't work out, it's like, all right.
Yeah, because you figure Georgia's Florida, right?
Georgia is Florida because they got the cocktail party.
Yeah.
And Florida is Florida State, and Georgia is Georgia Tech.
They got outside the conference rivals too.
But it's Georgia and Florida, so we take that. So they take them out, and then Alabama's Auburn. So then it leaves Tennessee and LSU as the 2 teams that A&M's trying to go after.
But Kentucky and
but I'm saying of premier matchups where you want that. If you're A&M, you don't want Kentucky.
No, so you're a matchmaker, so somebody's gonna get screwed here.
That's what I'm saying. There's 3 teams right there, or 4 teams, because one of them has to take Arkansas.
Yeah, because everybody believes, everybody wants their rival everybody wants to upgrade to their rival, right? Everybody always talk about outkicking your coverage. Like, man, your wife's really sexy. You're outkicking your coverage. Everyone wants to outkick their coverage with their rival. That's the key.
All right, so if we say
you don't want a rival that you believe like, man, you're kind of slumming. You're slumming it with them. Nobody wants to slum it with their rival. You don't want to slum it with that. You want to outkick your coverage, and that's why A&M, they want LSU.
Yep.
They want to outkick their coverage a little bit here. Actually, I think the Aggies might outkick their coverage with a couple of them.
So Tennessee, we may go Vanderbilt.
Ooh, they're gonna be upset with you. That's slumming.
But that's their in-state Tennessee.
I know, but that is slumming for Tennessee.
Hey, no, I know, but also that's Auburn's slumming for Alabama right now.
Well, yeah,
I mean, Auburn spends money.
Auburn at least is a rich football tradition that has won national titles.
But does Tennessee?
Vanderbilt's an academic
I get
powerhouse.
that, but do you take them and now you get a guaranteed win in your rival game. You get a guaranteed 3 wins on paying nobodies. And then you play 7 games that matter all season?
Yeah, that's just not a sexy rivalry.
No,
but it's only one game.
But that's what I'm saying is that's also why in the SEC it's better to build 3 instead of 1. Because for Texas, we're lucky. We have 2 easy ones, and then Arkansas is a great one to go back to.
We got easy ones, yeah.
But 2 that are like hardcore, this is big rivalries. There's joke books made about these rivalries.
Oh, the old heads will tell you Arkansas is like that too.
No, I know, but I'm saying I would say that's 3rd on the list of 3, right?
I agree.
So, but if we look at these other schools, Tennessee would be like, oh, we're Alabama and we're Florida, and Florida and Alabama go, no.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you can't, and when you're matchmaking these rivalries, if you go with the 1-7, you can't make it where everybody outkicks their coverage.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be slumming and upset. If you go with the 3-6, everybody's going to be outkicking their coverage with one of their rivals, and then you'll slum it with another. You got options. I just don't understand how they came to this conclusion. Other than they want more money for that extra game, and like Patrick said, they want an easier path to the playoffs. Other than that, I can't see what their motive is for going 3-6, but that is their motive.
Yeah.
That's simple. They want an easier path because that means the SEC brand continues to be proliferated and as the greatest football college sports brand of all time. And also, they want more money from ESPN for that extra game.
Wow.
Why are we going to give ESPN an extra game because we like ESPN? No, you got to pay for this, man. Yesterday's price is not today's price,
ding,
ESPN.
Ding, ding, ding.
So you need to pay us money for that extra. And then, by the way, it's probably going to be a really good SEC game.
Yeah.
Because they're saying it's probably going to be a rivalry game. That's the selling point, right? It's like, you know, we can make it another rivalry game because we can get 3 of them, all right, in a 3-6 format. Right now, 1-7 format, you can't. You only got 1 rival. So for Texas, it probably will settle itself because Texas will get A&M. They'll probably get A&M 1 year, and then they'll probably get Arkansas the next year.
And alternate back and forth until they get to that 7.
Yeah, until they get to the point where they play 3-6. But in the 1-7, they'll probably play A&M in 2024, and they'll probably be at Aggieland, honestly, just to try to make the Aggies feel good about the situation. And my prediction is you'll get Arkansas in 2025.
I'm down with that.
But you'll get Oklahoma, of course, every year.
Yeah, and I'm definitely down with that, and that's something that we would expect anyway. Because these two are a package deal, basically. Coming in together, you're going to keep that rivalry going. And we talked about it yesterday. Chip Brown broke the story. Well, I don't know if he broke the story, but he gave us the story about Texas and Oklahoma getting ready to sign a new deal.
Yep.
So that one, we already know. That's the one. That's day one.
That's day one.
That's day one. That's going to always be there. So that's part of the package that's coming in there. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is not as big of a deal as we're making it out to be. Like I said, it'll probably get settled, and the SEC will just let A&M be a part of the 7-game rotation for Texas. But it's interesting that the 8-game format idea, which a lot of people thought was way down the ladder of ideas that were popular for scheduling, because as Harsh mentioned, the first idea was the pod idea. Remember that? It's like pod. We'll be in pods. And then everybody went with the 3-6 9-game format, which was really popular because you get multiple rivals. And somehow we ended up with the most simplistic of the ideas. It was like, what happened to that really cool pod idea? Or that
like, what
really
happened?
Good, like, what? It was like back in the day when they say we're going to have flying cars by 2025 or something.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that's going to be really cool. It's like, it's 2023. I don't think we're close to them flying cars.
We might be closer than we think.
Automated cars, maybe, not flying cars. I'm like Seinfeld. I want moving walkways, like in the airports. We've got some more futuristic stuff.
So you can get up in and out of there.
Get up in and out of there. But, yeah, man, it's really interesting right now with the SEC deciding to go with the 8-game format. Just for now, they're going to revisit the issue in about 2 years. Okay, let's hear from CDC. He was visiting with Paul Feinbaum. Actually, yesterday he was hanging out at the SEC spring meetings. He was asked about a number of different topics. The first topic he was asked about from Paul Feinbaum was how does CDC feel about being around the new SEC leadership. He's just there now in a observational capacity, just observing. He's not voting on anything, but attending those meetings. Here's what CDC had to say about his first impressions of being a unofficial member of the SEC.
Well, what's interesting is because I've known a lot of the ADs for his friends for a long, long time. But just to watch Commissioner Sankey, I've seen him from afar, but how he conducts business, how he involves coaches in decisions and administrators in decisions, it's just, you hear about it until you're immersed in it and you see what an unbelievable leader he is. And doesn't shy away from issues, direct, has conversations, his agendas, he keeps copious notes. Structurally, I've never seen anything like it. It's unbelievably impressive.
Who knew that Greg Sankey was like Rod B? Copious notes.
Yeah, he's copious.
Huh? You got notes like Rod B, huh, Sankey?
Yeah.
I'll say this, though, and this is my take when Texas initially announced what they didn't announce. It was reported that Texas was going to the SEC. When you are in basically right now the most uncertain era of college football, really of college sports, period. We've never been in a time in college sports that has been more uncertain and that has been more divisive.
Very.
In terms of all the topics, where you're talking about the transfer portal, whether you're talking about NIL and the lack of regulations and guardrails there, whether you're talking about the death of amateurism overall, whether we're talking about, the conference expansion and realignment, which seems to happen every offseason more and more. There's a lot of uncertainty. And when you're dealing with uncertainty, you would like to hitch your wagon to leadership that is bold. All right, that is a bold, visionary leadership that can execute a plan and orchestrate a plan and execute that plan to accomplish those goals and to accomplish that vision. And that wasn't Bob Bowlesby. That is Greg Sankey. And I think the leadership at Texas looked around and said, guys, would we rather hitch our wagon to Bob Bowlesby in these uncertain times? We'd rather hitch it to Greg Sankey, who is seen by most to be not only a visionary, but maybe one of the most powerful and influential men in all of college sports.
That's what CDC was basically telling us just a minute ago.
That's what they did.
When he was like, oh, man, he's amazing. Taking copious notes. And he's always on top of this. I'm just so proud to be a part. CDC trying to set it up, huh?
Hey.
Out there throwing it out there for him, huh? Letting them know that you're available. That's what he letting them know. I'm available.
You know what? It's smart because, by the way, that question was not about Greg Sankey. It was about the SEC.
Yeah.
And CDC pivoted immediately to Greg Sankey and gave him some props. But I do think that's why they decided to choose the SEC. If Texas really wanted to go to another conference, they can go to the Big Ten. The Big Ten would have taken Texas. Hell,
they pretty much would have been able to go
anywhere they want to. They could have gone independent if they really, really wanted to. It wouldn't have been, the best possible option for the brand.
I don't think it would have been ideal.
But yeah, they could have done that too. They had multiple options. They chose the SEC because of the bold leadership and the vision that the SEC has for the future of that brand, and that's why they wanted to be a part of it. All right, one more. Get to another cut here. This one actually has the question. This is Paul Feinbaum going back and forth with CDC about how excited everybody is to have Texas in the conference.
In terms of all these questions that come up, and I know you were asked earlier, you'll continue to be asked. Anytime I'm visiting Texas, it's all about the game. There's a lot of games for Texas. Everybody wants to play Texas. I've talked to Arkansas people. I've talked to Missouri people. I've talked to obviously Oklahoma and naturally A&M. What's going to happen?
I don't know. What I'm really excited about is the fact that we get to have college football, and your show specifically is all about embracing rivalries and the fans that embrace those rivalries. When you listen to your show and the call-ins, you go, "Who is that?" And they become fans of themselves, but they become great personalities, right? You look at us. For us, playing Arkansas again is so awesome. Coach Broyles and DKR retired on the same day in 1976. The Arkansas games mattered to our fan base so much in the 60s and 70s. A&M, we've been playing A&M forever. You got Oklahoma. You have Missouri from the old Big 12 days. But across the board, we've had great games at LSU. I mean, Alabama game last year was great. But for us to elevate ourselves to the programs we're playing and to come back to our rivals, that's what college sports is all about. And for Texas, we know who we are at all times. But the fact that we get a chance to take our brand, or who we are into the SEC and compete at the highest level, we are excited about that opportunity and thankful that we were given that opportunity.
All right, now next cut is CDC being asked about Steve Sarkisian, who was a coach in the SEC when he was the offensive coordinator and play caller for the Alabama Crimson Tide before he became the head coach at Texas. Here is CDC proudly talking about his head coach of football, Steve Sarkisian.
Well, I tell you, I've known Coach Sarkisian for a number of years. When I was at Arizona, he was at USC. So I've known him for a long, long time. He's a tremendous mind. And I think would not be remiss that our chairman of the board, Chairman Altai, President Hartzell, the leadership at our institution has never been stronger. And they've allowed this move to happen. They embrace athletics. They understand what it does for the institution. But we're an academic house first. And we were having discussions about who to hire. One of the things we all zeroed in on was the growth of Steve Sarkisian and who he was as a person. He's a really, really, Paul, you spent some time with, he's an impressive young man. Yes. And we can all look back at our lives and say, God, we were perfect, weren't we? What life is about is how you respond to adverse situations and what he's done about himself in rebuilding his story within our team. But you look at our culture, I think we had 2 guys transfer. The portal has been ineffective at the University of Texas because of him. When he took over, we had about 54 scholarship players. He built the roster the right way. And getting us prepared for this opportunity, we have a great challenge in front of us, and this year's the Big 12 schedule. But I'm so proud of the roster, the team he has, and more importantly, how he conducts himself representing our institution is phenomenal.
All right, last cut here is Steve Sarkisian being asked about CDC being asked about what led them, Texas, and the leadership behind the scenes there, what led them to pursue an invitation to the SEC. Here's CDC.
It was an unbelievable conversation with our chairman of the board and President Hartzell. And we had these conversations about what? And we looked at where Texas is regionally, what matters to our fans, what matters to college athletics in general. And those conversations centered around leadership in the SEC is second to none. Every one of those programs are competing at the highest level. That's where we should be. That's where the University of Texas belongs, and we should be in that league. And when the conversation was presented to Commissioner Sankey from our leadership team, and he offered this opportunity, there was no debate about the Big Ten, the Pac-12, anywhere else. It was, if this is a possibility, this is where we should go. And it started with our chairman of the board and President Hartzell when we were just discussing what was going on in the landscape of college athletics, and they both said, "Is that possible?" And we'll find out. And it was possible. Isn't that crazy?
We should take that drop. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? That's going to be us right there, dog. We need that.
All right, we come back. We'll discuss Dylan Mitchell returning to Texas. Hard to give us a little preview about Louisiana before Texas baseball takes them on tomorrow, which you can hear live right here on 104.9 The Horn. And then we'll get ready to wrap things up and put them in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday. That's when Patrick takes songs, and based on the selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day. And the new theme, all about the NBA Finals, which start tonight. So every song references a theme, a storyline, or a player playing in the NBA Finals. And this one?
Oh, he's about to say it. Wait, get for
Okay.
it.
Oh, yeah, here it comes. That makes sense. Yeah. That's perfect.
Well, I was trying to keep it even between the teams. I didn't want to show favoritism. So we had 3 Miami songs, 3 Denver songs,
And then the
just
final
just a
countdown.
song about the finals.
I like it. I like it. Good
I'm not
job.
gonna lie, you are the ideallionaire for a reason, brother, because you have outdone yourself this week. We're at the Undercover Brother for Midweek Movie Music. Everybody was stumped on that one.
Yes.
Even Harge and I, we got our black card suspended for a week because of that one.
I keep trying to go into the club and I can't make it.
No,
they keep
man.
going. Not until next week.
Like, sir, yes, gotta come on back, Harge. Come back
Not
another
till
time.
next week.
You can come back on like Wednesday
I'm about to
when
figure out
nobody is in the
We're
club.
gonna figure out what's going on next midweek movie music. y'all.
Trying to make sure we get our card back.
Don't get our card revoked.
Yeah,
Let me try and do that.
Yeah,
man.
man.
For
Get us
real.
back in the game.
All right, let's get to some. It's actually some Longhorn related stories here. We did talk about the 8-game schedule format, which was announced by the SEC, so that took up a lot of the first segment. But we meant to get to the Dylan Mitchell conversation, guys. He is returning to the 40 acres. That news was announced yesterday. Dylan Mitchell, the 6'8" forward for Texas. He did enter his name, I should say, submit his name into the NBA draft. Did not hire an agent, which means he had the decision to return if he chose to, and he is choosing to return to the University of Texas. In the pre-draft prep process, he did impress scouts with his ability to make outside shots based on the film and based on even the stats too, because he didn't have one 3-point shot in all of 2022. There was a lot of speculation whether, and maybe some criticism as to whether he could be a player that could spread the floor and be a threat as an outside shooter. And I think that is the question that he is trying to answer by coming back to University of Texas, that he indeed can expand his skill set enough to be a guy that can hurt you on the offensive end, not only as a versatile and really a guy that can be considered an elite athletic defender, but also a guy that can be a 3-and-D guy potentially at the highest levels in his future.
Yeah, he was a McDonald's All-American. Let's not forget that, too, because he is that athletic. He's going to be able to do some things that we haven't seen him do from last year's team because it wasn't asked of him to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that changes the way that players are evaluated. They get out there, they get another opportunity to do some different things, and it changes the way the coaches view him. Maybe he didn't look as good shooting 3-pointers during the season. And they weren't asking him to do that. Don't forget, his original coach was Chris Beard. And Chris Beard wasn't going to have him doing that either. They wanted him to use his athleticism, and he really wanted him to work hard on the defensive end, so his offense wasn't always that great. Now he's looked at as possibly being a guy he's not going to – we got to figure out who's going to take all these shots. We was talking about Maximus Amos. Max Amos is going to be the guy that we're trying to figure out how he's going to be able to handle his new role at this university. You get Tyrese Hunter back. Dylan Dessou is going to get his shots because we saw how he was playing at the end of the year. And now you bring back a Dylan Mitchell who is so athletic, but now he wants to add a different part to his game with the 3-point shot and show that he can take that. So there's going to be some challenges with this staff to piece it all together because you piece it, and Coach Terry said he wants to play fast. He wants to be that guy that can get up and down the floor, but he also wants to do it on the defensive end. So now the roles are going to be better defined. Everybody's going to understand, and everybody's going to understand what Coach Terry wants from them as opposed to what Coach Beard wanted from them.
Very different.
Because it's a different view on how the game is going to be played this year.
And I think when you mentioned Dylan Dessou, and we saw him blossom under Coach Terry later in the season when he was taken out of a role where this is what we need from you and this is it. Don't do anything else. And I think Donovan Mitchell just being young and trying to do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
And he's a freshman.
Being
It's
a team
hard
player.
in that one season to blossom out like that.
That was big.
Now in the offseason, you're going to be able to see them have a different approach with him and say, I know that's what was wanted from you from the last coach. we need you to be this type of guy, because this for Rodney Terry is going to be one of his first signature players. When you talk about Dylan Disu will be going into this draft most likely next year. We'll see if he is able to progress and get to be a draft pick. We will see if Dylan Mitchell moves from a mid to late second round pick to a first round pick. If he's able to get those guys picked in the draft and pick up draft picks, that changes recruiting a lot.
It does.
Because you got to win. He's already shown he can win some. The further you can get in the tournament, that's going to help you in recruiting and getting players to the NBA and getting them draft picks where there's guaranteed money and there's a reason a team wants to focus on you. If Dylan Mitchell was a first-round draft pick this year, he should have gone to the draft because a team would have focused on him and said, you're our project, we're going to build you, we see the athleticism. Second round, mid-second round, that becomes a lot harder, and you may fall through the cracks. Being a mid-second round pick, you won't fall through the cracks at Texas. Rodney Terry needs to try and get him up to that next level. He's still a young man. His draft stock won't fall any.
No.
It can't fall because we saw what he did last year and didn't score. And people still were saying he's a draft pick.
Because he's an athletic freak.
So his draft, he can sit right there next year, or he can move up. And I think for Rodney Terry and this coaching staff, it's going to be, can you move him up? Can you get Dylan Disu picked in the draft? And if you have those two, then players are going to start looking at Texas and go, oh, Rodney Terry's producing NBA talent. Let's go there.
I love your point about Dylan Disu, because that's a great point, that once Beard left and it was Rodney Terry's system, he tweaked it in his own way. We saw the maturation of his offensive game, and Rodney Terry's given a lot of credit for that, him and his coaching staff at the time. And you're right, if he can do the same thing or something very similar, keep Dylan Disu on that trajectory as well, but also do something like that with Dylan Mitchell, yeah, man, we're going to start having a very different conversation about Rodney Terry after next season. I agree. That's a great point about the Dylan Disu thing, because that was...
We saw it change.
Really
it was like
in
whoa.
real time. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, we won the Big 12 tournament
because
and
of
beat Kansas twice because of Dylan Disu and that blossoming of what he did.
Yeah. Well, they call it the flotation station.
The flotation station.
There it is.
He had a signature shot and everything. He developed a signature shot in like a 3-week period.
It was hiding. Hey, man, it was hiding.
Hey, I'll tell you again, CDC, we need that flotation station bobblehead.
And that's right. There you go. That's a great one.
Make that money.
I like that.
You know they're going to have it.
Especially if Texas basketball is as good as everybody right now is thinking that they might be. The expectations are now rising for Coach Terry. That's a really good thing, because season and then the attrition, which honestly these days you can't freak out about attrition anymore in any of the major sports.
You can't.
Because of the transfer portal.
That's what CDC just said.
Can't freak out about it anymore.
So we only had 2 people transfer.
Yeah, some teams are some coaches are building programs through the transfer portal first and then recruiting.
Yep.
And that's just Chris Beard did it.
He did.
He kind of started the whole damn thing, and now it's more commonplace.
But he does it at every school.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was doing it everywhere. But now, honestly, I think more teams are going to go that route.
Yep.
We're starting to see more teams go that route in a lot of sports. So there you go. Dylan Mitchell returning to the 40 acres. Big stuff. All right, we come back. I want a mini preview, Harge, from you about Texas baseball versus Louisiana. We'll do that when we come back. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Getting ready to wrap this thing up and put it in the oven. Before we do, we'll let you know what's on tap. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. All right, Harge, one thing we got to get into really quickly before we get out of here, Texas baseball. By the time we join you good listeners tomorrow, we will have the result of Texas baseball's first game in the Miami Regional versus Louisiana.
Yep. And the news came out today that Lucas Gordon is going to get the start. He will be the number one lefty coming off the mound. He's an All-American this year. That's exactly the guy that you want there. We talked about Louisiana and how they run the bases, how they get on and make things happen. They're a very aggressive team. And I kept saying if there was a lefty on the mound, he might be able to slow him down. First pitch strikes are going to be important for Lucas Gordon, but most importantly, they have to put the ball in play. And when I say they, I mean the University of Texas. Last weekend didn't do so well. They had a lot of time off. Hopefully, Thomas at first base is healthy and Peyton Powell is healthy. I heard Craig Way talking about them today. They were both on the field and both looked good. So we'll have those guys back. Most importantly, keep Kyle DeBarge. That's right.
DeBarge.
That's right. Who's Johnny? Got to keep him off base. And you got to make sure, too, their catcher is really, really talented. His last name is Brock, so make sure you check him out as well.
Did you just make a short circuit reference there?
Who's Johnny? That was El DeBarge is the one who sang that.
We've never had a short circuit reference on the show.
I just try to bring different avenues to you guys, man. I try to make things happen
to you. Fantastic. Johnny Five?
You know he's trying to get that black card back fast.
I'm trying to get it up. Had to sing a little El DeBarge.
You're right. Because, and by the way, that is not the movie to reference to get your black card back.
But the song.
I don't know if any black people in Short Circuit.
No, it was all in spirit.
Was Johnny Five? What was Johnny Five?
We don't know. He could have been James Earl Jones.
That movie, by the way, that movie way ahead of its time, considering where we are in the AI world now.
Considering where
Johnny
we are
Five
right now.
was way ahead of its time.
Yeah. Well, so was iRobot or whatever that movie was, where they're walking around. They're walking right now.
Well, I guess every movie that had AI ultimately killing the human civilized species
it was a matter
in
of
some
time.
form or fashion.
It was a matter
might have
of
been
time.
ahead of its time.
Yeah. Terminator.
The Matrix is also right about machines taking over AI generated
Johnny
technology.
Five is alive.
Johnny Five is alive. I was like, we've never had a Johnny Five reference because I've never been this excited about it.
There you go.
Love that. All right, what's on tap? We all know what's on tap. What's on tap?
We're gonna watch basketball, but I'm about to go across the street and check out this Westlake San Antonio Johnson baseball game.
Nice. You got a busy night ahead of you.
I do have a busy night ahead.
All right. Well, best of luck to Westlake for sure. What you got on tap, Patrick? I already know, but what you got?
I'm also in Series tonight at 8 o'clock right here on the Horn.
That's right.
So we'll be talking about. We'll have the finals on, so we can give you some updates if you're listening.
I like that.
Beautiful thing.
Like
also, Longhorn Blitz on tonight.
Longhorn Blitz at 7. Also, shout out E. Rains. Eric Rains' birthday today.
Happy birthday, E. Rains.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy
Celebrating
birthday,
a B-Day. That's nice. All right. So there you go. I'll be watching the NBA Finals as well tonight. And honestly, I'm picking the Miami Heat. I'm going to do it. I'm picking Miami Heat in Game 1. I feel good about that. It might be the only game I feel good about picking the Miami Heat.
Yeah, because if they get blown up by 30, you'll be like, I don't feel good about them no more.
Well, I do want to give y'all a little update. So before the game, Charles Barkley and Grant Hill were sitting with oxygen masks already.
Oh, because of the altitude?
Because of the altitude. Dang. Both of them are already, and all they're doing is talking.
Oh, yeah, no, the altitude is real, man. It's real. Yeah. I played for the Broncos for a little while, and I might tell this story tomorrow. I once attended a wedding in Denver. Actually, it was the wedding of Crystal Shanahan, Kyle's sister, and the altitude, it got your boy.
It happens quick.
Ooh.
It happens quick.
And mine had to do with alcohol. Usually your boy can handle his alcohol.
No, that's the
tequila.
worst. That's the worst.
Oh, man, it got me.
Yeah, it's got to be moderation. That's what they mean by that.
Oh, no, yeah. Whatever your consumption level is.
Cut it in half.
Yes, exactly.
Cut it in half.
You got to cut that in half. I learned that the hard way in front of a lot of NFL coaches. Anyway, we'll cut that story tomorrow. We'll come back. Same time, same channel. Remember the Revolutionary Televised. Talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. More importantly, take care of each other. Peace.